fake show, apparently, where you can't talk about pop culture. This is a big episode all the way around. First of all, you get this big thing that's been going on. You can't turn away from it. If you are paying attention to anything, whether it's movies, TV, music, if you are on X, you couldn't turn away from the fact that every 2 seconds people are talking about this beef between both Kendrick Lamar and Drake, two of the biggest hip hop artists in the world. So contrary to some people's beliefs in the comment section, for me, when I was growing up in Queens, it was Tribe Called Quest. It was, Wu-Tang, Naughty by Nature, Run DMC. I remember listening to Run DMC when they're from Hollis, Queens. And so apparently if you like old school hip hop, you can't have an opinion on hip hop now from what I'm reading in the comments. But I don't give a shit because I'm going to talk about it because it was everywhere. And I was like, well, what's going on? I was talking to, because we were going back and forth in the Capes and Cows thread, and Winston was like, you guys paying attention to this? And I was like, I am. And I was going through a timeline on it because apparently these guys have had beef since like 2012. And it's kind of come back up again. And it went from like, the normal kind of playful beef, whether you go back to, what was it, 2019 when Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly were going at it. And was that okay to cover? Well, we covered that, by the way. Was that okay to cover back then? Because the thing that pissed me off about the comments was that, when you say, oh, you just benefiting off the culture here. What the fuck are you talking about? This was a huge thing in pop culture that was everywhere. And I was like, what is this? What's going on? What is this back and forth? And I went down the whole rabbit hole and listened to every single song. And I was like, okay, well, what's being said here? These people are going after each other's families. And it was solid. How do you not pay attention to that? I think it would be irresponsible as someone who covers pop culture to not go over this. Am I going to pretend that name 5 Kendrick songs? No, this isn't fucking Schmodown. This is me trying to go, well, what is this? This is something I want to talk about and something on a topic. And yes, guess what? We're going to talk about the Superman suit too, because that also is a major thing that's going on in pop culture. You know what else was? The roast. I used to follow George Carlin, Robin Williams. I don't pay attention to a lot of comedians anymore. Can I not cover them? Your point doesn't make any fucking sense. Makes no sense. So not only am I not going to be the only one talking about this, I got Rocha coming in and we got Scru Face Jean coming in as well. And they are definitely, and I don't have any problem saying this, they definitely have more of a lock on it because I wanted to talk to them more about it. The fun conversation was what I wanted to have with you guys was, who do you think won? Who do you think is winning? Do you think that it is good? The beef in general is good. Do you think that it is going to help music, hurt music? I mean, there's shots taken on everybody. There were shots taken on Prince, Michael Jackson. They mentioned not necessarily shots of it, references to those two. And Taylor Swift was mentioned inside of this. They used AI Tupac, and they used AI Snoop, and Snoop responded in Instagram. It was crazy. This whole thing just blew up over the last 2 weeks. How could I not talk about it? It would be irresponsible to not talk about this if I'm running a pop culture show. So I gotta, and I think that if you're going to ask these questions, because no, I don't normally cover it all of the time, but as someone who was a fan of all these particular artists that I just mentioned to you, and the influence that it had me growing up in Queens, it would be irresponsible. So we're going to talk about that when Rocha's in here. We're going to talk about that Superman suit that was going to come in. We're going to talk about that roast that happened over the weekend with Tom Brady, which was crazy. And we're going to talk about the Fall Guy. The Fall Guy didn't do that well, and it wasn't a bad movie. So we're going to get all of those topics out of the way. We're also going to get any super chats that you guys want. If you want to put stuff in there, and at the very end of it, we'll talk about it, right? So, and by the way, the person is like saying like, oh, it seems like a money grab. When I did One Piece, which I had never watched anime before in my life, and I started covering it, was that the same thing? Than a money grab because it was popular? I was talking about it. I was interested in it. So I wanted to bring it up. If I started bringing up stuff I didn't really wasn't interested in, and I didn't do the research on, I didn't pay attention to, then your point would be valid, but it isn't. So that's what got me this morning. I was in a good mood, and I still can be. But Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found, make sure that you put the comments in there and anything you want to talk about today. Let's do it. It's going to be a full-on show here between me and Rocha, and I have the link out to Scru Face. Hopefully he's going to make it his way in here. So that's it. Let's get to it. It's the big thing on a Monday. Here we go. Somewhere. Oh, there it is. How's it going, everybody? Look who it is. John Rocha. John, the comment section got me heated.
Heated.
They got me heated.
You're smoking, man. You know, people need to respect you. You might have to do a diss track on the fucking comment thread.
No, man. Because it was somebody, it was a fan of the show. It was somebody who's been on here before, who's talked, who's asked questions.
What?
Yeah, someone nice, someone who I like. But he's like, this is a pop culture story. It's a pop culture story, which we talk about, and from us talking about all the times in New York, the things that the amount of hip hop that I listen to on the daily, because I don't talk it on my show. Someone's like, "Oh, it sounds like you're trying to benefit off the culture." What are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is like you couldn't turn 5 seconds without seeing this on Twitter. And dude, I went down the rabbit hole and listened to every single track of what was going on here, and because the first one that started out was like that he did. It was Kendrick Lamar and it was we had Kendrick Lamar and Future had done it, right? And I thought it was okay, right? I listened to it, I listened to the lyrics, and I went down and I spent so much time going over this and looking at this stuff to say there's not like he doesn't know what, you're not gonna know what he's talking about. I need to say, hey, I heard these 2 rappers were doing stuff. What did they do? It's like come on. And I'm listening to but I tell you, for a little bit, it looked like Drake was lighting them up. And then when it started to get nasty with the families and the accusations, it's like a whole new school of dissing. I don't know. What did you think?
This is like you and I were of a generation. We grew up with like LL Cool J versus Cool Mo D. People
Def Jam.
Yeah, the Def Jam stuff. And then, of course, we go into the 90s and it's East Coast versus West Coast, right? Hit 'Em Up is one of the greatest diss tracks ever from Tupac going at Biggie. Then you have Ether from Nas going after Jay-Z. So like the rap world is littered with great rap beefs, great rap diss tracks that are all over the place you guys can listen to. And now you come into Kendrick and Lamar. And look, just because, we're not black doesn't mean we can't fucking talk about this shit. And certainly it's music, and we understand, as guys who love pro wrestling, we understand raps like this are essentially promos where you're going at a guy or you're going at a person, because we've seen female diss tracks as well, where you're going at a person and you're bringing up their shit, their personal shit. You're bringing up the stuff they've gone through. You're bringing up accusations. But Kendrick on Meet the Grams, good night, man. That was let's talk about Ether, which is considered maybe the greatest diss track ever. This is on the level of Ether at least. And it is and it's such a, deceptively simple approach, but he tore Drake to pieces. And I listened to Drake's response, and Drake's response is like when you're getting your butt kicked and you're just on the ropes, getting the occasional jab in, and you've just been peppered and you think you're on your feet and your feet look really wobbly to everybody else. So Kendrick, in a way, Kendrick's won this thing absolutely, but you're right.
I
was initially getting some great shots.
I was ready to come in. I was ready to come in arguing that, I don't know, man, but it was like because Kendrick had put out like 2 back-to-back after Drake put that one out about Family Matters or whatever it was, and then he's talking that insinuating that Kendrick's manager was the father of one of his kids and all that, and it's like, wow, they're really going gloves off. And then the response after that, it was like boom, boom, 2 these different shots that were going on. And you're right, it did to me. I was like, I don't know, man, it might look like Drake has this thing, and then it was just like, I think you said it right. He's in the corner like throwing stuff and throwing his hands as fast as he could. But it reminds me like it is like kind of that old school back in the day, Tupac and Biggie, and the way that they would go at it, and how it was so important for it just, again, pop culture. When some silly person says, name 5 songs, how can you say you're a fan? I didn't say that's not the point. The point of this was to talk about what is going on, what is happening right now.
Fuck that criticism. I'm sorry.
But it's one thing, like I said before we started the show, I was like, if you would have started out the show and said, listen, this is on, and I saw this a couple times, this is not the same topic, that this is unlike them to talk about this particular thing. And they're not wrong. And it's like, I wonder how they're going to approach it. I'm like, okay, cool. It's like, oh, interesting. And even someone to say, okay, wow, this is popular. This is going on right now. So they're clearly covering this because it's a popular topic.
Yeah.
Again, not wrong. But to say you're benefiting off the culture and the fact that like you don't know any Kendrick songs, I don't give a shit. It's not about that. It's about the fact of like, what, and the honest answer to that is I probably know a lot of them. I can't remember fucking names of TV shows that I watched 3 days ago. I'm gonna remember names of songs. Of course, it's like stuff like that. It's like don't the accusation. It's this new generation, dude. In the same way, the same person that was saying, "Oh, you don't know this," I can tell you, you don't know shit about '90s rap. You don't know shit about these things. Tell me who the Fushnikins are, right? Tell me who tell me who Gravediggers are. You can't. I can.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the whole point. You probably can tell me about the new school stuff. I can tell you about the old stuff. But that's what I'm saying. It's like that's not what this is. The question is it a relevant conversation to have about what's happening? And it is, in the same way that Taylor Swift has brought this pop culture pop artist to this phenomenon, right? She's never been big pop pop stars before. But she's like next level in what she's doing. They even mention her throughout this whole thing that she's like the top gangster or whatever it is. Like Drake calls her like the biggest gangster in all of music.
Right. When he was trying to backtrack on the same track after he went after, because Kendrick used Antonoff to produce one of the tracks, which essentially went after Drake. So Taylor is like low key involved in this, as you said. She's not actively involved, but the people she has worked with, and she has worked with Kendrick, which is what Drake was going after. They're involved in this. The fact that they produced one of Lamar's diss tracks against Drake tells you what side Taylor is low-key taking in this back and forth. So it's no surprise that she's going after Drake because Drake called her out, even though he tried to backtrack in the same track later on in the song. So I think this is fantastic. And this idea that you can only talk about it if you're black, you're taking advantage of the culture, it's nonsense. Because the one thing Kendrick Lamar and Drake want this to do is to hit popular mass appeal. So everybody is talking about it because it only elevates their sales and their attention. So
no, I do agree.
We're doing them a favor by
talking.
I
don't know about that, but I do agree. I do agree that if you went in kind of not knowing what was going on, if I was just like, hey, John, tell me about what happened. Right. Okay, so why don't you spend a half an hour on it just so we can get the views on it? And I won't educate myself on it whatsoever. Right. Then I agree. But I was like, I went through a whole, and some of the like beats were just fantastic. I'm listening, I'm doing my notes, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, whoa, and I have to rewind it. I'm going back and forth, and I'm like, this is like, to me, you couldn't turn two like head turns without reading about this anywhere. And the other thing was the roast. And that's why I asked that question. Like, so if you don't follow comedy all the time, if you don't follow it all the time and any of the new comedians, right? If you don't really follow Nikki Glaser, but you start talking about her set, are you not allowed to do that because you don't follow her anymore? What the hell is that? That doesn't make this. Am I wrong in the way that I'm perceiving that comment?
Yeah, I know. I think you're 100% perceiving it correctly. That's the frustrating part of it all. I mean, let us all talk about what we want to talk about. As long as we're doing it in an informed and fun way, that's what's important, right? I see somebody in the chat was like, don't talk about black shit. Bitch, I'll talk about what the fuck I want to talk about. I don't know, you told me not to cuss too much on here, but I'm upset with people trying to police what people can and can't talk about. It's so frustrating. We're allowed to talk about whatever we want to talk about as long as we come from an informed, fun, respectful, and interesting way. That's our jobs on here. You start a YouTube channel and you get remotely interesting, and then maybe people can listen to what you have to say. But until then, give me a damn break. We're allowed to talk about whatever we want to talk about. And as I said, this only elevates or points out the fact that this has gotten to that level that everybody can talk about.
It's marketing, and it's marketing. Exactly. What do they? I mean, that's exactly right. It's marketing, and it's the point of like, okay, look, we've got this out there enough. We're going after each other, and every time we say one thing about each other, whether it's the women that we're sleeping with, and there was one line that, oh my god, that I thought was just incredible by Kendrick, which was, "But don't tell no lie about me, and I won't tell truths about you." I was like, oh, like when I was listening to that, like that was like about his old school stuff. I was listening to all these, and it just took me back to all the stuff that I had listened to when I was a kid and the things that were coming up, and there were so many different like the beats that they used and towards the it wasn't just, I thought it was gonna be like a minute track. Some of these like 7 minutes, 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it is Ken. People are like, well, they don't talk about hip hop in this show normally. No, we talk about pop culture, the big pop culture stories. Guess what? I don't talk about roasts all the time on this show. I don't talk about comedy sets on this all the time, but we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about that. I don't talk about box office all the time, but I talk about it sometimes when it's relevant.
Yeah.
And this story right now, this story is an aggregator of all of the big news stories in pop culture. I've never said that I wanted to do just movies. Guess what? We talk about wrestling sometimes. When SummerSlam, when WrestleMania was going on, right? We talked about it. We talk about it every week, but it's like, oh, you guys hardly ever talk about wrestling. But now you're talking about wrestling because it's WrestleMania? Yeah, because people are talking about it and we were interested in it. If it was one thing where if I started talking about the Real Housewives, if they had a finale, if the Real Housewives had a finale that was real huge, and tomorrow I'm like, guys, I just watched the Real Housewives finale. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Because you clearly don't like that kind of stuff. I grew up with hip hop. I grew up with this, with so many, like the amount of, that's all I listened to. It was all I listened to. I just make freaking mixtapes of, I would go back and forth to these. I was just listening to Slick Rick yesterday with my 6-year-old.
Well, we're East Coast boys, man. And, rap has been an essential part of our upbringing because we're also, obviously I'm a little older than you, but we're from that time when rap came into prominence on the East Coast. Eventually, West Coast came around in the 90s and they were doing stuff, obviously, through the 70s and 80s, but it was East Coast where it all really started. And that's what we were raised in, knowing all about the rap culture, knowing all about rap music, and getting reading the source, all that stuff, reading source and everything like that. You just got involved in all of it. You had friends who would talk to you about it. You all would listen to whenever the albums would drop or the CDs would drop, you'd get together and listen to it. So rap's a big part of our DNA, man. And just because we don't talk about it all the time doesn't mean we can't talk about it when it hits this kind of level. And I also think the fact that we haven't talked about it quite consistently speaks to the fact that we respect the fact that the people who do know about it, who are much more knowledgeable about this stuff nowadays, they're the people who can talk about it. But when it gets to this level where every second scroll on your TikTok is about this rap and about this beef, it's time to talk about it. And the stuff that gets brought up here between them, like some real personal shit,
Dude, the fact they cut deep, and it started out like reminded me of like, in the same way that when Eminem and Machine Gun Kelly were going after each other, there was like,
that was a fucking mauling.
There was punches, but there was a lot of punches being thrown. But this wasn't punches. This was punches and machine guns and hand grenades and everything. It was crazy. But listen, so the beginning of the stream, when I put that we were going to be covering this, one of our longtime listeners, and he's a very established YouTuber, and he is a musician, and I'm a big fan of his also. And I was kind of humbled when I found out that he's been watching us for a while. Yeah, Scru Face Jean, and he's here. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is.
Hey.
Oh!
Finally got you. Finally got
you. Oh my goodness.
How are you, man?
I just had like a little breakdown trying to figure out Streamlabs. I'm sorry. I was supposed to be here a little earlier.
You're okay. You're okay. So yeah, listen, man. So I want to get these. I don't know if you saw the did you see the beginning of the show?
No, I've been
trying to figure out how to
figure this out.
So when I was starting out the show and I saw you like you said what I was like, this is what I brought up to John. I was like, someone goes, oh, you guys don't normally cover hip hop and stuff. It's gonna be interesting. I never saw you doing it. And then you came in like, okay, great. And there were other comments going, oh, you're clearly just kind of trying to benefit off the culture here and try to do this. Why are you trying to cover this? And I started bringing up the fact, man, that I've been listening to hip hop for a very long time. And I brought up old school. I brought up like, Tribe Called Quest and Slick Rick and Fushnikins and a lot of Grave Diggers, like old school shit that I used to old school shit that I used to listen to. So anyway, so I wanted, the first is, if you comment on that, like, do you think that this is something that, because it's pop culture, it's everywhere, is it something that a pop culture show should cover, or is it just people who cover hip hop? And then the other side of it is, what's your overall, who do you think's winning?
I definitely think it's something that any and everybody should be covering. I mean, if you're like a fan of the genre, and I don't understand why, if you do movies and stuff like that, you wouldn't have crossover, because with soundtracks and stuff, like I said, I've been watching you for years before I even had a YouTube channel, and I would see how you guys would always talk about soundtracks and stuff, and like I can't remember. I think it was one of the Transformers movies where it had like the Biggie. I think it was I can't remember if it was the last one, but it had the Biggie for the trailer, the music. And I remember that you guys were breaking that down too.
Right.
So I was like, there's always been a through line with music and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't find that weird at all. And who I think is winning at the current moment, I would have to say Kendrick Lamar at this current moment. And I actually have been like reserving saying that on my own page and stuff yet, because I've been waiting. But if you ask, I think Kendrick Lamar as of right now is winning. And let me just, I'm going to tweet out that I'm here too. So all my fans.
Please. Yeah. So like, and because I like to talk movies with you as well too. But when so, and I had said the same thing to John when we were talking about it earlier, was that I started listening, and I was listening to all this because I wanted to go through it, but they started going after each other though back in like 2012. So what do you
actually
know?
09.
So
Kendrick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. By the way, I have a little. Sometimes when I get too excited, I
no, you're same here. You're good.
Yeah. Let me know. Let me know if I'm talking too much. But they've actually had it's been like a hip hop cold war between Drake and Kendrick since essentially they came out. They had one song together. Well, two songs. One of them was just them two. I think it was Poetic Justice, if I'm not wrong. And then they had Effing Problems. But there's always been rumors that they never really got along, and they've never really been cool, and there's been stuff behind the scenes. So it's been like a long war.
They clearly hate each other because
they've been on each other. They've been on each other's records, right? I mean, that's the thing. At the beginning, they were on each other's records, like on Take. Kendrick Lamar is on Take Care, which is one of those seminal Drake albums. But it was, I think Kendrick is the one that popped this all off with that track he put out where he was saying he wanted to be the best and be the one that wears the crown, and he called insinuate. He called out Drake. I think he called out Rick Ross. He called out all these guys to essentially start the flame war here. And that's what's been the back and forth here. So it's been a fascinating thing to watch.
I think you're talking about the Control. First, the original one where he was calling out the whole industry. And then, but there's also been like subtle subliminals that he's been having specifically for Drake. That other one was more like this is like a, hip hop is a sport. It's whatever. Let's just have fun. The other, when he goes at Drake at the subtle ones, it's more like, no, I hate you. Everybody else, we can have fun. I don't like you. So that's what it felt like.
I mean, even that one song was like, you're going to hear pure hate. I hate the way you walk. I hate the way you dress. He was going off like everything. It just really like that was like, I was like, wow, because that was that before that one. I was like, okay, this seems like pretty evenly matched. And then it was just like Roy Jones back in the day, just throwing a combination where you're like, whoa, it was pretty solid. I mean, but you mentioned Rick Ross. I mean, because I guess Rick Ross got involved. And when I was doing Schmodown angles, I would listen to Rick Ross in loop.
That's crazy.
In loop.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would listen to Rick Ross. Like people, like, just because I didn't talk about it all the time. But anyway, so Rick Ross got involved at one point, and then like you said, Drake went back at him, and they kept. I don't know. And then there was even one thing where I guess Rick Ross made like another diss track on him, but they didn't get involved on that as much because they were really focusing, as you said, on these two guys just throwing haymakers at each other.
Yeah. What it feels like, just to, put it together, I'll put it like a metaphor of movies. What this is essentially Infinity War, like the Infinity Saga. It's essentially like Drake is like Thanos in a way, and the entire industry is like the other Avengers, because it's literally felt like, if you paid attention to this, it's like slow, like Drake's been collecting Infinity Stones here and there and here and there, and finally everybody just went, you know what, we're sick of you, and they all came together. And what it's feeling like is literally that I've seen a lot of people with different memes like compare it to that. And that's literally what it feels like, where it's just like Drake got too big, too powerful, and the Avengers are here to take him out, because it's literally like 15 versus 1 what it feels like.
And yeah, Drake said as much inside of that. In one of his tracks, he talked about how it was just basically all these people kind of coming after him. I forget the exact number he said, but verses 1.
20 verse 1,
yeah, that's what he said. And
you got The Weeknd, A$AP Rocky, who of course might have some interesting stuff with the rumors about Rihanna and Drake in the past. So what's that all about? That's all mixed in this as well. So there's a lot.
I think it's
J. Cole, you know what? I'm out. You guys, I can't do this. This ain't for me.
Yeah. I think also what Drake did too, a lot of this I think has to do with whenever somebody is on top of the game for too long, people just want to see that person get taken down.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, but then on the other side, Drake has also done stuff throughout his career where maybe he wielded his power not the most responsibly at all times.
Right.
And like even when you brought up the A$AP Rocky thing, they've had a beef for a long time because of Rihanna. Right. So I feel like everybody's now going, oh, this is my chance to just get everything out about I don't like about Drake. And that's what it's feeling like too. So it's like Drake actually has a hard time right now because even in some of the songs he puts out, he has to battle 5 other people and then get to Kendrick. But Kendrick just gets to focus on him and tear him down.
And it's like that we're going to be talking about the Tom Brady roast. It's like the Tom Brady roast. Like everybody, you want to focus in on Tom Brady, but wait a minute, there's Dana White sitting there. Wait a minute, look over there. So there is that. You know, you also realize that the more steam this thing started to pick up, the more people were listening and more people were going to cover it. And the more you really had to come with fire because everybody is nitpicking every single little word that you're doing. And I think that the way it looked like to me was that Kendrick was the one that at first was like, okay, we'll just do this normally. Go, everybody's watching. Look what I'm going to do now that everybody's watching. That's what it seemed like to me when as I was listening to the lyrics. But and then, you know, you've got when Drake was going after like, at first, the physical stuff, you know, the height, you know, the whatever, the who he's collaborating with, and then like the
Maroon 5 and
Taylor. But dude, the accusation stuff coming in with the stuff Kendrick was going after Drake with you know the stuff about the DMs with younger kids, younger girls, and those types of things, and it was like, whoa, we're not only going gloves off, we're going gloves off, blood sport. With the glass on the fist,
glass in the
kickboxer. Yeah. So,
to me too, what it was I felt like in the beginning, Drake and Kendrick, like Drake said that he knew this day was probably going to come because of this whole Cold War that they've had, and at first it felt like what it feels to me is that when I started hearing these first tracks, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to be a great battle, but then. As Kendrick kept going, it said, oh, this feels like somebody hasn't liked somebody for a decade and has planned this for a decade because it almost feels like Drake didn't even understand where this was going to go. At first, it felt like, oh, yeah, let's talk about this, that. And then Kendrick said, oh, that's what we're talking about. Well, watch this. Boom. And then Drake's like, whoa, I didn't know we were doing that. And then the rumor is the reason why Kendrick's been able to drop songs like this. Because the rumor is he's had a 19-minute diss track that switches up beats for years. So he's just been adding to it and adding to it. So at any moment, if Drake drops, he just cuts 4 minutes of that out and calls it a song.
Well, dude, he did like 2 back-to-back that were like, it just came. It was
he did one like hours after Drake dropped his. So that would stand to reason, Screw, that he's had this in his mind, or he's had this plan for quite some time. To drop whenever, because he warns on a couple of tracks. He warns, "Don't make me go down the hole even further," because clearly he's got all kinds of information. But what do you think about this? The recent Drake track where he essentially claims that they leaked this stuff to Kendrick to purposely. Doesn't that seem like a bit of a backstep? Dare I say, it's a slight bitch move to like say, "Oh, well, we fed you this misinformation, and this is all lies now." It doesn't. It feels like you're breaking the rules of the disc game by being like, "Oh, we fed you misinformation." Am I wrong on that interpretation, man?
Yeah, the thing about it that confuses me the most about that angle is if you really sit back and think, it's like some Sizer Koze, but if you sit, he wants to feel like he's some like I'm 3D check. But if you think about it, and it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah,
because if you're like, why would you feed that kind of information? Because it's like, if anything, and then if you did feed him the information, if I'm Drake, because I'm a rapper too, and I've been in battles too, if if I baited you and you took the bait, I'm instantly coming with the ha ha. You took the bait, but at the same time, it's like, why would you even mess with those allegations to come out and be like, ha ha? Like, it didn't. If he was doing that on purpose, it did not work the way he thought it was going to work, because too many people. And Kendrick is such a good writer. This is a Pulitzer Prize winning writer. That if you give him that kind of, he's going to write a dark novel, and you're going to just be like, at this point, I've eaten it all up. So if Drake comes out and be like, I don't even get like, ha, I was doing it to what? So they capitalize on that. I don't even get it.
To your point, so Drake put out Family Matters on May 3rd, and then Kendrick Lamar dropped Meet the Grams on May 4th, but then followed it up with Not Like Us right afterwards.
And that Not Like Us,
gnarly.
Yeah.
The thing about Drake is his whole thing that he's been able to hold up is he gets the biggest numbers. He has the biggest hits. So usually when he's battling somebody, he can just look at my view, look at my streams, but this time, if you look, Kendrick has beaten him in views and streams every drop.
Wow.
So that it's like stripping away his main power, and like the Not Like Us and Like That are like the two biggest hits that came out of this. And I'm in the West Coast, and right now with that song, it is completely it's taking over the world. So it's making, I'm feeling like Drake is, what Kendrick did was culturally shift the way that people looked at Drake. And I honestly think the only other time I've seen something like this was with Ja Rule. And I'll say this because before 50 Cent, Ja Rule was huge. With J-Lo, nobody even thought that, oh, this guy's corny. We all were eating up his music, loving it. And then it's like 50 Cent came and was like, this guy's a cornball. Then we all was like, whoa, wait a minute. What? This guy's a cornball. That's what it feels like. But then it doesn't feel like Ja Rule was ever able to recover from that. And it feels like that now too, because I'm seeing like people turning on Drake, where it's like the internet is destroying him. Nah, Drake was trending yesterday after he dropped it. So everybody was like, nah, that ain't it. And Kendrick is more, what Kendrick did that was genius was he made Drake the representation of the industry and like the fakeness of entertainment. And then he was like, I'm the alternative, I'm the real, I'm the art of it. So now he almost puts you in a position where you're like, well, if I like Drake and I'm rooting for Drake, it almost feels like I'm not rooting for the art, I'm rooting for the business. He made Drake the business and positioned himself as the art. So it's almost like really cool to not like Drake right now, which is, this is the first time in Drake's career I've ever seen that.
But that's why. But dude, that's exactly why, and I'm so glad that we covered this today, because of a conversation like that, in the idea of how it can shift. And that's not just relevant to hip hop, that's relevant to movies, that's relevant to television, that's relevant to books, that's relevant to whatever. If you are in a public perception and one person inside of your business or whatever shifts that public perspective like that, it can change, right? Now, I don't necessarily, I think your points are, I think the Ja Rule comparison was genius. I think that, but when you come to Drake, right, and like Drake has this level of superstardom that is just right now seems unmatched. Do you think, I mean, I know you said you saw people turning on him and stuff too, but is that like, people turn on everybody when it's cool to turn on it, and you know, people are loyal until it's opportunistic not to be, right? So the question is, you know, like that Drake could come back and everyone's like, oh, I like Drake again, or do you think that he's in serious trouble, the brand's in trouble?
At first I was saying I mean, this is just like a battle. Drake's going to recover from this. If anything, if you ask me personally, I actually have more respect. Like, assuming all the accusations are false, I have more respect for Drake as an MC for even doing this, because Drake got so big that he was basically a pop star. He could have just acted like he didn't have to do this.
Sure.
But as time kept going and as the songs kept dropping, at first, I would see like Kendrick would drop a song and then Drake's diehards would attack it. Drake would drop a song and then Kendrick's Die Hard attack it. What it's felt with the last two is I'm not seeing the Drake Die Hard as much. And I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment, but it really is starting to feel, because everything, if you go to Drake's comments on his last video, it's bad. If you go to his Instagram things, it's bad. So it's almost feeling like maybe this is a non-answer, because as of right now, it feels like this could affect Drake's brand, or if it has affected Drake's brand, I just don't know to what extent yet. So, and there's also a rumor that Drake's about to take like a mini vacation after this. And honestly, Kendrick did such a genius move where Drake kind of has a lose-lose. Because if he takes a break right now, it's going to look like, I made a metaphor in one of my videos, because I always said Drake's biggest problem was when you're too omnipresent, when you're too around, people just get sick of you. It doesn't matter what you brought them. You could have brought them 10 years of enjoyment. Eventually people are like, I don't like this guy. It could be for no reason. And he was too omnipresent. He never took a break. If you look at like the Nas's, the Jay-Z, like the bigger people, they always took like, they would drop, then take like a hiatus and let the music speak for itself. Drake is just on everything, just prolificated to a point where it feels like now people are so sick of seeing him that even if he takes a break, it's going to look like they threw him out the party instead of he left himself. And that's going to hurt him too, because I don't even know if I was Drake right now, and like if I was Drake's management, I would have no idea what information, because I would say you do have to respond just so it doesn't look like they threw you out. But at the same time, if Kendrick does have because there's a rumor he might have like 4 more songs, what are we going to do with that?
What are you going to do? Yeah, because he's just going to keep throwing punches, and it's like, so
no way out.
Yeah, there's no way out. But
unless he drops a monster track, there's no way out for Drake at this point. As you said, Kendrick has outsmarted him, and it is a lose-lose.
It seems
Drake has been used to winning these battles for quite some time. So I think he thought, well, I'm going to step down and wipe this guy out, and this will cement me forever as a legend. But Kendrick, as you said, I think he underestimated Kendrick, and he underestimated the hate people have for him and how many rappers were willing to jump into the fray and go after him. And I think now he's in a situation where, because he did release a follow-up to Meet the Grahams, and it doesn't have that same strength. So unless he drops something really hard, and even if he does, as you said, Kristian, if Kendrick has 10 more minutes of uncut stuff that he can drop, he's never going to get out of this. It's perpetual. So
what do you do? Do you cut off?
I give up,
Do you do damage control and say, all right, well, in the eyes of people, we might have taken a loss, but let's mitigate the loss or do we gamble, throw out a song, and then Kendrick has something? Because you don't know, every song it seems like Kendrick dropped, it seems like it gets worse for Drake. So it's like, do we just cut it here and just take whatever?
You do the Homer Simpson, you just back into the bush.
Just pack like it didn't happen and just be like, all right.
So
Nas and Jay-Z figured it out. You got to figure it out somehow.
You got to figure it out somehow, and they probably could. But I want to stick to. And Scru Face, how long do we have you for?
It's whenever. Okay, cool. I've honestly been this. I'm smiling like an idiot this whole time because I'm like, I don't even believe I'm here right now.
We're honored to have you. We're honored to have you. And so I'll say this, because I don't think that Kendrick, and I don't think Drake will definitely do this, but Chris, you're watching in the comments, and I see you keep running your mouth. Here's what I would say to you, because those two guys, they're not going to squash the beef. I say right now, let's squash it. I'm not going to bring you up anymore. You don't comment anymore about this stuff. You continue. You've been a wonderful fan, minus today. And if you want to throw one more shot, and if not, if you want to keep going, then you can find another channel. But if not, I'd love to have you here. So let's call it a beef squashed. If not, then that's up to you, my man. But I say let's just call it a day, because we have other things to talk about. There was this Superman suit. There was all these other things. But before I get to that, I want to tell you guys real quick, as we do each and every week, we have our wonderful sponsors here. And the first I got to tell you about is Rocket Money. And I don't know if you guys are using Rocket Money, but they are absolutely wonderful. I love them. And because you get these subscriptions sometimes that you don't even realize that you sign up for. And you're like, oh, it's going to be free for 10 days. And then after the 10 days, it's $45. And you're like, oh, I forgot about that. And you pay twice for it. You don't realize it. Rocket Money, for me, it cancels those subscriptions, and it's so good, and it is so easy to do. It alerts me on subscriptions and prices when they go up, and they're the best. It's a personal finance app, and it finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's features. So stop wasting money on things that you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Go over to rocketmoney.com/bigthing. That is rocketmoney.com/bigthing. rocketmoney.com/bigthing. All right, guys, let's talk about AG1. You guys know I love AG1. If you've been listening to my show, you've heard me talk about them, and I've been drinking them for about 2 years now, and I love it. Never been a vitamins guy. I've told you that. I take it all one shot, AG1. I put it in a water bottle. I shake it up. I'm good to go. I recommend AG1 to my friends. I recommend AG1 to my family. Everybody. AG1 is a team of doctors and scientists. It is tested for 950 contaminants and NSF certified for sport. It is formulated based on the latest science and maintains high quality standards. You guys know they've been with us for a while because you guys know too. You've all been checking them out, and everybody who's been signing up to AG1 says the same thing. It's changed your energy. It's changed how you approach things in the day. You're smiling more. Running around the place and you're sleeping better. I know. AG1 is the supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily. And that's why they've been a partner for so long. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and you get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/bigthing. drinkag1.com/bigthing. Check it out. All right. Thank you to our friends over at Rocket Money and, of course, AG1. As I mentioned to you guys, I know people are like, oh, wait a minute. You got ads in this show. Yeah. And we get ads. Why? Because there's a lot of different reasons. One, I make sure that I get ads for people that I think you're going to like, right? The other thing is it's a free show. So we need to keep it on the air. And in order to do that, we get great sponsors. So thank you for checking it out. Links in the description. Benefit on those deals, I'm telling you. All right. So yeah, so Scru Face, let me ask you. So you said you were watching when did you find this show? I'm so curious how this always works.
This is so crazy because man, when did I start? I watched when it was you and Mark for sure. I was before the Schmodown. Okay, I watched all of the Schmodown. I'm trying to think of when I started.
Enough that you know the birth of the Schmodown. It's a lot. That's like 10 years ago, man.
Oh yeah. Oh, I tapped in. I'm sure if you like type in my name, I don't know if you could do it and look through the comments. You'll see ones from.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah. So a long time. I couldn't pinpoint a year, but maybe 2011, 12, maybe ish. Maybe 13.
Humbled, and thank you so much. I'm so glad, and thank you. You're always in here throwing in the comments, and I appreciate the kind words. And you and I have been talking back and forth about trying to get you on and collaborating. So I'm glad it worked out here today.
You know the funny thing, I was in the gym when you called me, and I think I did the fastest gym session. People were in there looking at me. I was going from one machine like, people were looking at me, what is wrong with him? And I was trying to get right out because I was.
Well, we'll do this again, man, because this is a blast. I'd love to have you.
Yeah, definitely, man.
All right,
definitely.
Cool. Yeah, and so I see people. By the way, I see people throwing in the super chats. Don't worry. What we do is we go through all the main topics and then we get to them at the end of the show. So, all right, the other thing that was and this is actually kind of the lead story that we had put there. This new image, man. James Gunn puts out this image of Superman. Everybody's been waiting for the new suit. It's here we go. This is the new suit for David Corenswet as Superman. He's lacing up. There's some stuff going on in the background there, and the city's getting blown up, and he's very casual. It doesn't look like a very tapped in Superman. Things are getting blown up. He's like, let me put my boots on. But there's the shot itself. People apparently are losing their minds and not in a good way on this suit. The suit looks fine to me. It's a suit. It looks it's a suit. It looks fine. I have no issue with it. I think that maybe it's a little overdone. It could have been a little. I think maybe people are looking for the more traditional, simplistic Superman suit. Which, to be honest, I wouldn't have mind seeing. This does seem more so in the vein of what they did in in Zack Snyder's universe, and I thought they were kind of getting away from that particular look. But it's a suit. It depends on how it's not the suit itself. It's the person who's wearing the suit and how that person's going to benefit that suit. But John, I saw your tweet. You said you had a lot of thoughts about it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I get what James Gunn was going for, which is, hey, I'm just like you, except that I'm a superhero, but I put on my boots one boot at a time to go to work. And I don't mind. I like the costume. I like that there's like dirt on the logo, which means that it's been used a lot. He's been working. I like the upper shoulders area. It's got like a kind of an armor feel to it in the top, which is a very military thing in my mind when I look at it. So I like that vibe. But I think the overall goal of this is you want to wow people. And the fact that the reaction has been split as strongly as it's been split, I don't think this is one of those situations where people are always going to find something to complain about. I think there's legitimate issues here that you see him in what looks like a very casual approach to the fact that some AI thing behind him is destroying Metropolis while he's calmly putting his boots on in this massive bayfront window, in essence, to the city. So to me, I don't think it 100% got the job done. But I like Corenswet, and I like the look of the costume. But I don't 100% think the picture was the right way to go about it. It's a bit underwhelming for me.
Okay. And so, and by the way, do you like to be referred to as just Scru Face Screw or Scru Face John?
Whatever.
I call it. So is John? But is John is that your first name?
No. I don't know if you're talking to John.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
No, actually, it's. I can just do a quick thing. The name Screw, because it actually ties to movies. I spent like I was born in America, but I spent like the first, 6 years of my life in Nigeria. And my dad came from America to Nigeria. Like he went to America, came back with a box full of like what things that represented America. I'm trying to speed run this. So there and one of the things was he had a bunch of VHSs. And one of the movies he had was Steven Seagal's Marked for Death.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I got it immediately.
Yeah, so that's when I was little, I watched that, and the character Scru Face used to give me nightmares all the time and scare me. And I basically took the name and reversed it. What used to be like one of my biggest fears is now my claim to fame.
Batman. It's like Batman. I love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, makes sense.
And John just came from like to keep it real, I was writing a song one day when I first took the name, and I needed an extra syllable, just to be honest. And I thought about it, and I always liked Wyclef Jean. I always liked the Jean, just the way it was spelled. I don't know, it's just unique to me. Yeah. So I just liked the way it sounded. I threw it on there. My name is actually Daryl. It's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, all right. Well, that's. Thank you for the backstory. That's awesome. Well, that's all right. So, what do you think? So, let me bring that picture up again, and let's see what your thoughts on it.
It kind of reminds me of the Injustice suit, if I'm not wrong. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. But then I also say it's hard to know what it's going to look like, because obviously I think they're going to throw like CGI and different stuff on it. So just like a static picture, it's a little hard for me to. I kind of have to see it moving on camera to see what it looks like. But from here, I can see what John is saying though, and I can see people's issues, but I also think you kind of have to give it a little time to see how it plays on camera. So
yeah, same. I mean, like I said, it's this right now. It's James Gunn. He's casting the casting has been fantastic in this film, like absolutely fantastic. There are the concerns. Yeah, there are concerns. It's fantastic, I tell you. Come on, the only thing I wish it could have been a little better had he put me in. He's not.
Yeah, I love it when you do that.
Well, yeah, so he James Gunn though has been doing the casting wonderfully, and now the question is going to be, You wonder, people are like, oh, there's gonna be too many characters in it, and we need like a more focused on Superman story, which he said we're getting that. We just happen to set up the rest of the world behind him. So look, the last couple of movies James Gunn has done, I've been on board with. I like them, so I'm trusting in this. I don't mind this suit. I think that we are, the internet culture, you're going to look at it, and if you don't like it, you should be allowed to say, I don't like the way that looks. And you should be able to say it in a way, and that's going to be kind of go on to our next conversation that I think, because, man, over the weekend, the Acolyte trailer hit on Saturday, which normally doesn't happen. They don't put it out on Saturdays, but they put this out on Saturday because it was May the 4th. And what a weekend Star Wars had too, by the way. The Phantom Menace, which came out in 1999, was the #2 movie of the weekend.
Oh, wow.
It made like $8 million or whatever it might, or something along those lines. It made a really, like, the re-releases normally do like $1 million or something. This movie made $8 million on it, and it was the #2 movie underneath Fall Guy, which underperformed, which we'll also discuss. But Star Wars had a good weekend, right? And then this trailer comes out, the Acolyte trailer comes out, and it does bring up a conversation in pop culture fandom in general. It was the same thing that I saw, and I was very clear in my reaction to it. And I had this conversation. I called John Rocha that day. So I go, look, I was hoping, the first one was a little underwhelming. I was hoping to really like this thing and lock into the story a little bit more. The trailer looked generic to me. It didn't look, even though it's not shot on the volume, it looked like it was in the volume. It looked like overly clean to me. I don't really have a lock on who these characters are so far. It looked a little bit, it looked generic. I said, however, I didn't see the show yet. I haven't seen an episode. I could watch. I've seen trailers for movies that I thought were going to be terrible, and I wound up loving them. I think Edge of Tomorrow is one of those movies, right? So it happens. And I very well could love this series, because what I heard the fight scene that they showed at the end of Phantom Menace was wonderful, but I didn't see it. So I said, if you love this, it's great. Tell me why you did. If you don't, also tell me why you didn't. If you don't love something, you shouldn't be told that you should love it. If you do love it, you shouldn't be told that you shouldn't. It's like I kept seeing this one comment that kept coming in and going, why are you judging a show and saying you're going to hate it before the show even comes out? I was like, I never once said that. Not once did I say that inside of that. I said the exact opposite. I said, if you are excited for this show, that's amazing. And I'm so glad that you do. Nobody should be criticized for liking or disliking a trailer that you saw. But I'll start with you. So, Screwface, what did you think about this trailer? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What say you?
I actually haven't seen the trailer.
Okay.
So I can't, but I can speak on what you were saying about people not liking stuff, because, I do music reviews, which is the way that people act with movies and music is essentially the same thing. Yep. So it's like, everybody has a right to like or not like something, and to be attacked for not liking or liking something is the weirdest thing. Because I also go, so what do you think is going to happen? Are you going to bully somebody into liking or not liking? I don't think that works like that. I think if you like something, it doesn't really matter what a comment is going to say. It's not going to change. It's like a waste of energy. Yeah.
Now, John, you have seen this. You and I talked about it. You were on the opposite side of this. You thought you liked it a lot, and you and I listened to this. We had a pleasant conversation. It's possible we disagreed. We said some things. I said, I made some points, and you said, oh yeah, I see those points. And you made some points. I said, I understand why you would say that. And we talked like humans. So tell me why you like this, and then I'll tell you why you were wrong.
There it is. No, I did. I enjoyed it. I like everything I've seen so far. I like this story. I like the new characters. I like the actors that are involved in this. And I liked this trailer. This trailer had a bit more darkness to it, a bit more of an edge to it. That last shot of Lee Jung-jae there swinging his lightsaber, and then seeing one of the young Jedi turn, their eyes go black. Is there some kind of power being used here that we haven't seen before in the Star Wars universe to convert the Jedi in this way? Are the Jedi who light their lightsabers up? Everyone thought in that first trailer, oh, they're turning the lightsabers on against a Sith, but those were cuts. We don't know if that's the actual same scene. They could have been turning their lightsabers on against Lee Jung-jae's character, because they have been changed to follow the Sith, and now it's going to be a battle him against all these young Jedi. So very interesting stuff. So there was a lot here that I enjoyed, and I got more of Carrie Ann Moss finally. But I'm a little nervous about that because they're only showing her a little bit, and either they're keeping her role under wraps or she's not in it as much as people think. And so there's a lot of questions I have coming out of it. But I like that we got more with Daphne. I like that we got more with everybody involved, and Amanda Stenberg as well. So to me, it did what it was supposed to do, which was to get me excited to see this show.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. And again, the respect of the respect of the disagreement, right? It was where I wanted it to get me excited for the story of the show, but it didn't. Like, I just felt like I've seen that story 1,000 times over. Plus the fact I'm trying to like
with
how
the Jedi Master and the Padawan turning on the Jedi
turning, and then there's no, they haven't done the murder mystery thing, and that is intriguing to me for sure. Yeah. But the idea of like, well, there's a mysterious force, and they have to figure out what it is, and like I felt like they were going for ooh ah moments. Look, a lightsaber, ooh, and so I'm like, there's only so much that you can do until it's like, show me what the show is about. And I think that what I'm curious about, and I haven't seen the episode, so I can't judge it yet, but I'm curious if they are going to kind of retcon that comment of the Sith have been extinct for millennia. But what about all those people that were fighting against that thing that seemed like a Sith with the mask that looked like,
at the end,
had the teeth on it? Remember that when that happened? No, they're all dead. Oh, so no one put that into the system, so we don't know. Okay, well, explain it. If it's explained, and like, oh, I want to sit there and I want to go, oh, that's why they didn't know. And they very well could do that. I'm just saying, from what I saw in the trailer, I'm looking at it going, I don't know if I care about any of these like characters yet, where I'm like set up going, oh, like, so here's John, you'll be excited to know that I am about 3 episodes into Shogun. And
good.
Fantastic. One of the best shows I've seen in a very long time. Now, the trailer itself, I watched the trailer. And the trailer's good, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm intrigued, right? But it's when you're watching these episodes now, like all I want to do is watch this show because I want to know where the story is going. The Acolyte could do that. If it locks you in and you just, okay, next one, please, please, please. And they're going with 2 to start.
Yeah.
Who knows? So, I'll stay with Star Wars because we're there.
Okay.
I actually just watched it while you guys were talking.
Oh, you watched the trailer? Okay.
Yeah, I actually just looked at it. And one thing I can say without like, paying all attention, I do like that it seems like to be a darker tone, but I do see what you're saying where it feels like there's a possibility if it comes down to the way the story is told, it could be like what we saw in like Obi-Wan, or what we saw where it is kind of like the same story where it's like this person is bad and then they get, we've seen that a lot actually in Star Wars. So I could definitely see the issue. But one thing I did like was the choreography, though. I did like the choreography of the fight scenes. Yeah.
And what they said, though, that scene that they showed at Phantom Menace, which I did not see, apparently the scene is like a more detailed, like the fights are supposed to be like next level. So I have my fingers crossed where I'm going to go, this was not what was represented in that trailer. That's what I'm hoping. But, speaking of which, staying with Star Wars. So you mentioned Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew is a show that was supposed to come out at the end of last year, but now that's coming out. I hope that they change the name and they call it Star Wars Skeleton Crew, because I think that's going to benefit it. I don't think people who are non-Star Wars fans are going to know what the hell Skeleton Crew is. So I think by calling it Star Wars Skeleton Crew is going to help it. But Skeleton Crew VFX apparently are old school Star Wars. The MCU Spider-Man trilogy director John Watts says that his upcoming Star Wars Skeleton Crew series for Lucasfilm and Disney Plus is going decidedly old school when it comes to certain production aspects. The new series follows 4 kids who stumble upon a buried spaceship on their rather sedate planet and accidentally launch themselves into a galaxy-wide adventure as they try to find their way back home. Speaking with Collider at CCXP Mexico City, Watts advises that you don't have to have any prior Star Wars knowledge to enjoy it. Those who do, though, will enjoy it on many levels. He also says he's bringing back some classic filmmaking elements combined with more state-of-the-art techniques. He says, I got to use all the cool stuff on my most recent Star Wars show. We had pre-viz, mocap, we shot on the volume, we did everything. But the most fun part was we used all the old school techniques as well. That includes hiring living VFX legends and Star Wars alum Phil Tippett, bringing him back to the franchise to do what he does best. He says, we got Phil Tippett to do stop motion. We did Pat matings. I can't speak. We did mate paintings. Thank you. Like real old fashioned matte paintings. We got an ILM painter out of retirement to come out and do that. So to me, all that stuff is fun, but it's just another tool and it depends on how you use it. So this is cool. This is the kind of stuff where hopefully, it's proof is in the pudding type thing here too, right, Rocha, where it's like, okay, this is a great soup of, you don't have to just cut the volume out completely. Use locations, use old school VFX, use it all. And if you do that, you could really come up with something special. I like this plan. But it's like the execution, right?
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing at the end of the day. And just like you saw with the trailer just now, and you were speaking about the Acolyte, I'm sure they had those kinds of aspirations as well. But judging from your reaction, it didn't 100% get there for you. So we have to wait to see if what they talk about, because we've seen this how many times for years, for decades, right? Production people say one thing, and then you see the end product, and you're like, well, I don't know where what you said connects to what I'm seeing. So we'll have to wait and see what these upcoming trailers look like, and any footage they release looks like. But they've got the right approach. It's a matter of what will the execution look like by the time we see it, and will it line up with what they're saying? Because I'll tell you, being on the set for that most recent Mortal Kombat movie, when I did one of my last set visits, they were, I mean, I thought these were the right people to bring this to life. They said all the right things. They seemed very truthful. They were really giving and honest about their love and approach to this franchise. And then you watch that movie and you're like, where the hell were all the words you said when I was watching the movie? Because none of that came through when you were watching the film. So it's all a matter of what it looks like once they actually drop a trailer or some footage, and we'll see if we believe the things that they're saying.
And I wonder, and the same thing is relevant, John, I wonder how much studio interference played into that, and then could potentially play into this. But so what do you think, man? Do you think is Skeleton Crew something that you're interested in as well? Screwface?
Me? Okay, yeah. The thing about Star Wars ever since was it The Force Unleashed, I've just kind of been scared to have
excitement.
I can't think of the word. Yeah, because it's so hit and miss, and I feel like for me, just me, I feel like it's been more miss. I was super excited about that Boba Fett series. I just think I was so disappointed that now I don't, even if the concept sounds cool to me, I have to see at least one episode or at least something before I go, yeah, I think this is going to do this, or I don't think this is going to do this, because they've had both. Because I feel like The Mandalorian, when it first came out, it didn't seem like a return to, I can't even think of the word, form.
Yeah.
But I feel like when they first were promoting it, it wasn't like as big as the movies, but I ended up getting more enjoyment out of that than I did the movies. Like some of the movies after that. So I'm scared. I'm tepid. I'm gonna end up watching it, but like there's a lot of Star Wars stuff that I even start watching and then kind of just fall off after a while.
Total bummer. And someone even said that to me, said, I think you've been burned by it too much. And I was like, you're not wrong. It just feels like it just feels disappointing right now.
Can I say this? Because I get so much crap for still liking it. Like people say to me, like I see it online and people make videos and fine, go make your money. But like they're like, oh, you're a shell. I'm not. I'm genuinely still in that place of hopefulness for what I see. And I almost always lean towards, let's see what it looks like, but I'm interested and I'm curious. Right. And I don't know why that's a negative. I don't know why you to still be excited by it and still have hope that they'll get it right. I don't want to turn into something else bastard about it.
But you're addressing.
You are. I just mean other people.
No. I know what you're saying, but you're addressing something else. There's like, this is my initial comment in the beginning.
You're saying you're burnt by it, and that's what I'm addressing. And
sure.
Turns people sometimes into bitter bastards about things.
Well, yeah, but it's a matter. I mean, when I say burned, it's like a matter of like just. I think what Screwface was saying, is the fact that it's just like it's burnt. Where I'm like, I'm. Oh, this is going to be good, and then you're like, because the same thing with Boba Fett is that it's pitched as like this Godfather, Goodfellas series. And it's not. He's like every 5 seconds. So are you you're badass? No, I'm Boba Fett. Just stop introducing yourself. and so it was like, okay, it was kind of dull, and then the writing hasn't been great on it. So when I'm looking at it, I'm like, of course I want to get excited for it. And that was my point earlier, where if I don't like something and I'm like, I don't know, it's like, it doesn't mean that I hate it, and it doesn't mean that I'm Star Wars fans, the worst kind of Star Wars fans are Star Wars fans. It's such a cliche, stupid. No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, is what people say. I hate it. Such a cliche, stupid. You're fed garbage, so you start like spouting it out. But in the same aspect, what you're addressing, John, is that it's a political thing, though, more so. Like they're going up against Disney, and they're going up against the people who like. I haven't gone to a freaking premiere or anything. There's still people who make videos about me, and I'm like, you're still doing this on me? Like 6-7 years ago, there's so many other people who like Star Wars better than I do, and you're going after me. Okay, fine. But then the same thing with
God forbid they come up with original content. Anyway,
No, and by the way, and the only reason some people, by the way, when you go to premieres, what these people don't understand is to get your reaction and your review out early, but they don't understand.
Yeah.
But anyway, point is, those people that are coming after you and doing those things, because like you said, it makes them money. It makes them, if they're gonna make a video where they're reviewing something and it only gets 100 views, but they go after you for liking something and it gets 30,000 views,
right?
Of course they're gonna do that. And it's like, it's not about, so they're gonna, yeah, that's the game. So there's going to be that type of thing that happens all the time, but it's more of a political thing than it is anything else. What happened?
What's up, Screw?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah.
One thing that I will say that I've always wanted to get on like a platform like this about and say, and I feel like it gets overlooked a lot. Both sides are just as annoying as the other side.
100%.
It's just two sides of the same coin, because sometimes I'll watch, those obvious channels. They almost always have the same thumbnail where it's like, wokety wokeness. Well, they'll go like that, and that's super annoying. But then I'll go on the opposite side, and it'll be like people making fun of them, but don't realize they're just as fanatical. Okay, so I always look at it. If you before you see something want it to fail, to me you're crazy. Yeah. If before you see something you already think it can't fail, you're just as crazy as the other side. But for some reason, both of them don't see that they're just. The middle is somewhere where it makes more sense, and it's just too. I always say this because sometimes people feel like if I like it, or if I'm going with a ultra positive, then that's better than ultra negative. But to me, ultra anything before you see it is just weird. You can just go, I don't know yet. Let me see it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
Just like
and you're allowed to be excited about something, right? It's like for me, it comes back to what we talked about in the beginning there, and it's a matter of, look, if you're excited and you want to see something, and you're like, oh man, I'm pumped for this one, and I think it looks great, and then someone says, I don't know, it looks bad. Well, that's because you hate it. You hate Star Wars. You hate everything. Well, then you're wrong. You're just, as you're saying, you're as fanatical as the guy who's saying, oh, here comes the Star Wars thing. Of course he's gonna love it. It's like that's the problem, is that because I'm telling you, are 100% correct, because that's what I saw in the Acolyte stuff, to where here I am for years where people, like I just said, there are people who still make videos about me and then say that I love everything Star Wars, and then I get the same comment 5 seconds later. I knew you were going to say this. You hate everything about Star Wars. And I'm just like, oh my God, you can't win with either side, because they're both, if you don't love what they love, you're the bad guy. And if you love what they hate, then you're definitely the bad guy. It's like, but it turns into a business for both of those sides, and that's where it gets tricky. Okay.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's what I was saying with, you can, when it comes to so like navigating as a Black person navigating, sometimes I tend to go more on the positive side, because it seems like, with the people who have the comments about wokeness and stuff, sometimes things get slipped in there. I go, wait a minute, I don't think this is so much about the movie as it, because like, even it didn't start with the John Boyega Riva stuff, but I heard, for instance, I heard people saying with that, speaking on how stuff has gotten so political, I've heard people being like, I've heard both sides where they go, the people attacking Reva or like, we have legitimate reason to attack Reva, which is cool. And then the other side was saying like, there is absolutely no legitimate reason to go ahead, which is also, so it just becomes something where it's like, are we even talking about the movie anymore? That's sometimes how when I watch them, I'm like, I feel like we're talking about the movie anymore. I feel like we're talking about something completely different.
Politics
and
bleeds
now
into
it's
it,
like,
politics bleeds
into. And then now, and the people who are also being like, Star Wars is too political now. It's like, I'm pretty sure Star Wars is an allegory of the Vietnam War, or like, because Lucas came out and said like, Lucas is very political, so I've never understood when people be like, this is an allegory. The villains are literally called stormtroopers. Like, you know the original stormtroopers?
Yes, there's politics and everything as far as when it comes to movies and themes and tones, but it's more so how the political landscape of like fandom has now turned into extreme right, extreme left, and they've gone after each other, and it's bled into the fandom in how we discuss it. And as you said, it's people who are because people who have certain channels who hate everything Star Wars, Marvel, whatever it is, they can't, for their brand. If they what if somebody who makes an Acolyte thing every day talks about how much they hate it and they watch it and they love it? You think they're going to say that they love it? Of course they're not going to say that they love it, even because they can't. Yeah.
The greatest example of that recently was the X-Men 97. So many of those channels were like, oh, X-Men 97 is going to be so woke. Morph is trans now. What is this nonsense? Not my X-Men. How could it be woke? And it's like the legitimate foundation of X-Men is approaching the idea of waking people up to the injustice that has gone on to underserved groups in our world. And initially, it was meant to mirror the civil rights things that were going on in the 1960s. Then the LGBTQ plus community kind of co-opted that in the 90s into the 2000s. And so it's always represented that. But all these people made videos going after X-Men 97. Then it came out, and then it was written by a gay black man. It came out, and it was a monster hit. People loved it. And those people all of a sudden turned their points of views completely. Some of them couldn't admit it, and then some tried to act as if they didn't say the negative stuff they actually said in their videos. So it was ridiculous to see that shit, because it's all about money. They got to make their money, so they got to keep feeding the hate, and it's unfortunate.
And I also don't understand why sometimes people don't want there to be like political allegories in some, or like allegories of what's going on in the world. So sometimes I ask those people, one thing I've noticed too is when somebody says woke, I always go, explain to me what woke is. Just explain to me, tell me what is woke. And then I always go, the one way I always catch them, I go, okay, so tell me how you make this unwoke. And it's usually just, remove the people of color or it's usually just like, okay, what makes this woke? Okay, cool. So tell me how you make it unwoke. Because you're like, usually you catch them up right because they just, all it is remove Reva.
Yeah,
that's usually it. Like,
right, and that's not, that, and you're 100% right. But I do think there's merit to pandering sometimes. But that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing.
Yes,
as woke. Pandering is also feeling like you're not like, well, we don't want them to say this against us on Twitter, so we have to do this. And it's unfair to the actors or directors or whoever are casting that or put in that role, because they're now put into this spotlight that they didn't ask for. And of course they want to take a job, and they're put there because the studio feels like we're supposed to do this, as opposed to going, wait, this is the right person for the job. And then there's other times where it's just like, they're the right person for the job. Get over it and stop being fucking racist. And that's how it gets. I mean, there's tons of that stuff that happens all the time, but larger conversations, larger things happening too. Now we can talk about the box office and everything else when it comes to the roast and that inside the questions, because we did get a bunch of questions, and I want to make sure that we do that. We did cover the majority of the topics. So if you want to stick around, Screwface, for the questions, you're absolutely welcome to. If not, also understood, up to you.
I'm here.
Okay, cool. All right. So before I move on, I do want to tell you guys real quick, excited to have both Built, and I think I talked to you guys before about Roan, but I'm going to tell you about Built first. All right, you know what stinks? When you're stuck in a loop of rent payments, you're just watching your money vanish into thin air. It's the worst. It's time to turn the rent game around and start earning some serious rewards. How do you do that? That is where Built Rewards comes in. Built is breaking ground as the first rewards program that hooks you up with points on your rent. Doesn't matter, even if you're rocking the old school rent check vibes, Built Rewards, it's got your back. They're going to mail the check for you. It's like basically having a personal rent paying assistant. It's the best. Every month, you pay your rent and you watch the points roll in. Use points to jet off on a dream vacation. Put your points towards a flight or a hotel stay with 500 plus airlines and 700,000 plus hotels and properties. Pay rent hassle-free through the Built Rewards app. Your rent game just got a major upgrade. Earn points by paying rent right now when you go to joinbuilt.com/bigthing. That is joinbilt.com/bigthing. All right, let me tell you about Roan. I've talked to you guys about Roan before. Look, sometimes it's just a real pain in the butt to try to find out what to wear. Sometimes it's uncomfortable, it's tight, it's never your size. It's difficulty putting pieces together when all of the fabrics are different textures and levels of stretchy. I've been using Roan. They sent me Roan. And I'll tell you what's so great about it, because you figure there needs to be more stylish, functional, business, casual menswear that is both high quality and durable that can withstand your day. I'm going to a bunch of different events. I'm going to New York soon, and I'm meeting a bunch of peeps, and I have my Roan gear ready to go. So men's closets, I think they were due for a radical reinvention, and Roan stepped up to the challenge. Roan has a commuter collection. It's pretty comfortable. It's breathable. It's versatile. It's pretty great. So they have products. What I loved about it, every occasion, it doesn't matter. The world's most comfortable pants. They have dress shirts, they have quarter zips, they have polos, they got blazers. They look great as individual pieces, and they also work seamlessly together. It's easy. It's time for an unparalleled confidence without all the hassle. Roan's commuter collection, it features the wrinkle release technology, and it's 100% machine washable. I have been wearing this stuff, and I told you, like, my wife notices. And that's the thing, man. I've been married a long time, but I know I can't just look like a bum wearing all my casual stuff. I got to sometimes class it up in this joint. That's what I got Roan for. So I love the commuter collection. It's really been great. I've been going out to dinners and stuff with it and business meetings and all that stuff. So the commuter collection can get you through any workday and straight, and you can do whatever you need to come next. Head on over to Roan.com/bigthing, but use that code BIGTHING. You save 20% off your entire order. 20% off your entire order, but you got to head to RHONE.com/bigthing. Use that code BIGTHING. It's time to find your corner office comfort, man. I listen. I can say it every time, and I will. I get things for you guys that I think when they pitch. We have a great advertising company that we work with, and they say, "What do you think about this?" And I said, "Will the audience like it?" And I was like, "Yeah, they're gonna like Built. They're gonna like Roan. They're gonna like AG1. They're gonna like Rocket. I know they will." So if you're one of those people who, and I get it a lot, say, "Hey, how can I support the show?" Get yourself something. Do it. All right, we got some questions here, man. We got some questions. We got a lot of questions. So we're gonna start all the way to the top. Any of the things that we can talk about. Now, if we didn't cover anything, whether it was the roast or whether it was the box office with Fall Guy and all those things, and you want to hear us talk about it, throw the questions in there. We are going to cover everything from the top. And I know, John, I think last time we did this last week, I missed two of them because I forgot to the very top. And it was Carlton, I think, was one of them. And I'm trying to find, I don't have the actual question themselves that were sent in last time. And I think Travis sent in one too.
Oh, Travis Earl? Okay.
Yeah, I think they both sent them in. So I want to make sure.
Ask them to put it in the chat if they're here.
I see them in the comment section, and then they want to send it in there, and then I'll highlight it because they sent it in and I missed it last week, so I was bummer about it. Okay, so we're going to start from the beginning here, and I want to make sure that this is it. So Matt Boyle, I think, is the first one, right? Matt Boyle is the first one here. Adam Ray doing his Dr. Phil bit is hysterical. Have you seen him do any of his clips? So I don't know if you put that in there because you know that we used to have Adam Ray used to be on our show all the time during the Schmoes No era. Like he used to come on and do Tony Danza, and Ellis would do Alf, and I would do Arnold, and we had like three bits. And he started doing this Dr. Phil thing recently. He's got everybody on there, man. He had Bill Burr on there. He's got tons of people on there. So he's great. I'd love to get Adam on before I leave. And May 31st, by the way, Ellis and I are doing a going away show for me at the Comedy Store.
Hey.
So, and I have a very special guest that's going up also. So if you guys are able, the tickets are on sale now, so you should check it out. Okay. So have you guys ever seen Adam Ray do his thing, the Dr. Phil stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's actually weird because I started seeing him more pop up,
Yeah.
and I was like, where do I know him from? Like, where have I seen his face? And now that you say he was like, I was like, oh, that's where I probably first saw him from. Yeah.
Back in the, he used to come on the show all the time. Mike Joyce, I think it was Mike actually that sent in the one that we missed last time. I saw episode 1 over the weekend. I can see why people in 99 hated it, but apart from Jar Jar and the acting, it's not terrible. Episode 9 is much worse. Yeah, Roke and I have this conversation every time these are brought up. I have definitely had a newfound love for them through, and I actually had this conversation with a buddy of mine over the weekend who took his son to see it. I was sitting watching Phantom Menace about 3-4 years ago with my oldest, and we were watching Phantom Menace, and it was one moment in particular, it was right as the movie was starting, but I looked over and I saw in her eyes, and in my head I go, oh, I get it. And I looked at, and ever since then I've looked at the prequels so much differently. But John, you hate these movies. Why?
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Phantom Menace. There's a lot of plot holes to pick apart. There's a lot of nonsensical Trade Federation nonsense that they're talking about that is completely unnecessary. Yes, Jar Jar still bothers me. Of course, all my love to Ahmed Best, and certainly didn't deserve any of the negative stuff he got. I don't think Jake Lloyd is that good of a young child actor in the film either, and it just feels a bit cheeseball in a lot of places. That being said, though, the Maul stuff you can't deny. That fight at the end is incredible, and people like, and certainly the connection between Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson is fantastic. And so for me, the Phantom Menace isn't as strong as other people like. Again, though, if you like it, more power to you. It's just not for me. I didn't mind Attack of the Clones, but Revenge of the Sith is the best of the three, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, Screw, you going to say?
Yeah, actually, it's funny because when I came to America, I'm a bit younger than you guys. When I came to America, Phantom Menace was just coming out. Like, I still remember that. So Phantom Menace was my introduction to Star Wars. And it could be because I didn't fully understand English, but I really liked it as a kid growing up. And as I grew up, I was like, why is there so much hate? And it seemed like more as I watched the YouTube videos breaking it down, I was like, oh, I can see it. But to me, I always liked it because that was my introduction to Star Wars. And I didn't really know anything else besides that.
And you had a connection to it as a child. You had a connection to it, and that was what I was saying when I was like, oh, because that's why they have this, like, Hayden Christensen today gets, standing ovations when he walks in, because the children who grew up with him are now, in their 20s and 30s, and that's their Star Wars to them. So it's very curious, and I wonder if how many haters and stuff there are. And I'm not a fan of the new trilogy, but I wonder if those people who grew up with this one and saw Force Awakens and these movies in the theater for the first time when they were 6-7 years old, what they're going to feel like when they're in their mid-20s and how they feel about these movies. So it'll be interesting.
Well, and it goes in reverse, because there's a lot of people who like the prequel trilogy and the sequel trilogy who think the original trilogy is terrible and think that it's bad writing, bad acting, terrible special effects, boring lightsaber fights, and bad fight choreography. So, it all goes full circle to me when you look at the Phantom. It's all on where you caught it as a kid. That's where it really gets inside of your soul. And that's what you grew up with. And so you're always going to defend it, which I respect. Yeah.
Malik Tarrant, the beef ain't as fun as I'd hope it would be after like that. Everything has just gotten volatile, messy, and exploitive. Now I just want to go back to 2013 when I thought they were all cool.
That's what makes it good.
Exactly.
But it's a rap battle.
He wants a safe rap battle. That doesn't exist.
That's not gonna happen.
But I also understand the idea where it's just like, there are parts of the tracks that get a bit like, really trying to rip someone's like heart and soul out of their body, and it's just like, that's dirty, right? You
go after people. You go after his parents. When you go after his parents by name, first by name.
They went after everybody. And
writing an open letter to his family is crazy.
Yeah.
I can understand why someone would feel that way. It's just like, oh, I kind of I wish they were all friends again. And it's like, it's like sunshine and rainbows.
Yeah.
So to me too, the thing about the whole battle is, as long as it doesn't cross over anything besides music, I, as a hip hop fan and as someone who's always been a hip hop, this is the greatest battle that I think we've ever seen, because it's the biggest two people that we've ever seen. Even when it came to Tupac and Biggie, one, it spiraled out to something else, kind of muddy, made it darker, and like in retrospect, it wasn't as good. And two, even if it didn't, Biggie didn't really respond openly to hit him up like the way they're going back and forth like that. Right. So it's like, as long as it stays here, I think it's great.
Yeah. Malik, again, not gonna lie though, seeing y'all bring this up is like seeing a polar bear waltzing through Atlanta, or however Rocha likes to call that. Yeah, I forget, what was the Atlanta thing? I forgot about that.
Yeah, I heard, when I was in the military, a couple of brothers told me it's Black Atlanta, so I've always kind of known it as Black Atlanta. Because growing up in DC is called Chocolate City, so you just know these things and you respect the names. So yeah.
I remember because that was a Schmodown thing. I remember that. So yeah, I mean, like we talked about, it was something that, and I think we had a really great conversation on it. I'm glad that Scru Face was able to join us on it too.
Definitely
broke it down even more so. So and Malik follows back up. Rocha probably like Kendrick has the gravitas. The Kendrick needs to work a little bit more on his spoonsmanship. There you go. Perfect. Hank Pym. Early Money in the Bank predictions. I need to see Tiffany Stratton with a pink briefcase myself. As for the men, would love to see LA Knight get it. Yeah, I think that was the reason that LA Knight lost to AJ Styles, because they couldn't have LA Knight lose again in a moment like that to Cody, because there's no world where anybody's going to lose to Cody in his first match in. And then Tiffany Stratton, I thought Backlash was better in person than it should have been on paper. Right. And I think the reason why is because the crowd was incredible.
Electric, man.
What a crazy crowd that was, with singing songs every 5 seconds. Ryan Satin had one of the best tweets ever when he had it was, who was it from I can't remember. He was Keenan from Saturday Night Live, and he says, "This is me trying to figure out all the lyrics from the songs in the and he's just like dancing around." And I was like, it was so stupid. It was great. Yeah. But I thought the crowd was really good, and it was one of those things that made the event. But Tiffany Stratton is a damn star for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, and they didn't let her get pinned, by the way.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. And it's Early Money in the Bank. I could see both of those coming forward for sure. Yeah. Scru Face, do you watch wrestling at all?
I haven't watched. Like I kind of stopped after the Attitude Era, but then I came back for the like 2007, I was pretty heavy back into it again. Okay. And then I just fell out, but I'm seeing how wrestling is just coming back. Like it's prolificating every part. I'm seeing like with the Cody Rhodes and Rock stuff. So I'm definitely going to get back into it.
Well, you know what? And that actually, I'm glad that you said that too, because this also goes back to our previous point to make it relevant with the hip hop conversation, was where you were talking before with Drake and how a matter of like, if he can come back for it, if the brand can get restored. Well, guess what didn't do shit? And Rocha, we can have this argument about it. Okay. That article about the Rock peeing in bottles and everything, that looked like a major thing that was going to hurt him.
Umberto's article?
It didn't do anything. It did nothing. He posted, I looked at it. He posted up him MMA training the other day.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me see the comments. If it's just like buried by pee bottle jokes and all this stuff, nothing. I saw nothing. And it was one of these, was just like, yeah, he hasn't addressed it. Nothing. These are one of those things. That article is going to come and go. Now, this is very different from the rap battles that we're talking about here. Yeah. So they're so in everybody's faces and there's responses left and right. I'm just saying that there are times when there's something you're like, oh, this is going to damage the brand. That article ultimately did nothing.
Yeah. I mean,
and as somebody who's actually, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Screw, go ahead.
As somebody, I saw you, I still remember the thumbnail you did for your, where it had a little water bottle with the yellow. I didn't click. So by the way, your thumbnails have gotten so much better. Like your thumbnails are awesome. Like, thank you. What exactly was that story? Because I was like, maybe I'm a skeptic, so I don't know what the P.
Well, you know what? Let Rocha break it down. Plus, give your point there, Rocha.
Yeah, no, it's just basically that The Rock has a history of being late to set, and it has caused problems with other actors. Like him and Ryan Reynolds apparently got into a big fight that for years didn't get squashed until recently after Red Notice, and that he likes to pee in water bottles rather than going to pee in the public bathrooms or in the bathrooms on set. And some of the Teamsters accused him of having PAs or people who are involved in the production having to throw those out in the middle. So it was all of that, and then apparently he's caused cost overruns on the most recent film, the Christmas film that is $250 million Christmas film. So it was just basically those kinds of attacks that he was disrespectful, late to set, peeing in water bottles overall. So yeah, it's not enough to destroy the brand. I agree with that completely. But we don't know going forward if putting all of this in an article combined with the Black Adam situation, combined with the fact that people don't go to his movies at the level that they used to anymore, that there might be some long-term damage in combination with all the stuff over the last few years, because quite a lot of people in Hollywood are a little pissed at him for some of the creative financial things he's been doing. And so we'll see if it bears fruit. But for the public overall, who doesn't want to come in late to work and be funny?
I just don't think it's going to damage it.
No, I don't think so.
And I think I think this movie with the A24 movie with Emily Blunt is going to do wonders for his career also. We'll see. I think so. All right, so here's the next one here. Johendo TV. Superman suit looks all right, but not as good as Henry Cavill's suit in Man of Steel. I think it looks a little similar.
I agree.
Yeah. I don't know. Anybody else?
The suit is better.
Yeah.
It looks like Homelander. It looks like Homelander.
It does look like Homelander. I am too fly cam AWA. Canelo versus Crawford being rumored. Thoughts?
Crawford.
Come on. No way.
I'm from Nebraska, so I got to say Crawford.
No, Canelo will kill him. Canelo is at the peak now as a fighter. If he fought Mayweather right now at Mayweather's peak, Canelo would have beat him. And there's the difference. Mayweather caught him right on the come up, not where he's at now. And he protected that Mexican fighter over the weekend. He could have destroyed that kid and brutally hurt him. But he knows that kid's the future for Mexican fighters. So he beat him, but he didn't destroy him. And so I think Canelo is at the peak right now. Nobody can beat him right now, in my opinion.
Good call. The Riddler.
I'm just going with my bias. That's all.
Fair. Superman suit looks weird, honestly. It looks like he's wearing two size too big of a suit. To be honest, I like both Drake and Kendrick, but Kendrick won. Listen, you might be right with the suit in that particular picture, but let's see how it looks once he's standing up and he's fighting and stuff too.
Yeah.
There he goes. Butt funnel is here.
There he is.
$4.99. Team Kendrick for the butt funnel. Cam. Drake takes authentic music from real artists and repackages it for mass consumption. Even if he isn't a bad person, he makes rap music more bland. What do you think about that one, Screw?
Well, just as an overall look at going back to what I was saying, I don't think there's been one comment on Drake's side. And I think that's another thing that goes back to what I was saying, where it's showing the kind of damage that's happening, because this is stuff Drake's always been doing, and it feels like now people just saw it for the first time.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he does do that. I'm not the biggest fan of, because I'm Nigerian too. So with the Afrobeat stuff that he was doing, I wasn't like mad at it. But there's certain things that he says and does in songs where I go, do you even know what that means? Like, are you doing this just for the sound? And the way that he jumps from one thing to another thing, and usually when he does songs with artists, it seems like it blows him up more than the other artists, and the other artist seems to fall off. It seems to happen. So that's what he's saying.
It's almost like using people's clips from their actual shows to make money off of for your own self without giving them credit. It's interesting. But the other thing about this too, that I saw on TikTok, and I'm not speaking from this point of view, but I've seen a number of black commentators and pundits on TikTok call out Drake for referencing American slavery. That's the thing that they are pissed off about too, because he's a fucking Canadian. It's not even remotely the same thing, but he's referencing American slavery in his things. And I saw a couple of them be like, that's it. No, you can't make any more of those references because that is not your experience. And so I thought that was an interesting twist that I did not even remotely catch as I was listening to these tracks. So, yeah.
What makes it the worst, the way he did it, was that Kendrick kind of baited him. That's why I say I feel like Kendrick's playing 3D chess and Drake is playing Scrabble. Like, he doesn't, because it's like Kendrick said, the whole thing is to show that you are business and you don't care about the culture and you don't care about what's going on in Black America. So when he rebutted and said, this guy is talking like he wants to free the slaves, it made I'd be like, what's wrong with that? Like, why is that a diss? Like, so, and Drake has also gotten more backlash because whenever things happen, he doesn't really have to take a stance because he wants to be like what's called neutral to a point where you can be too neutral sometimes when certain things need to be discussed and you're like, nah, I got fans on both sides, let me not offend anybody. Then it comes to a moment when someone like Kendrick, who does firmly have a stance, is going to make you look crazy. That's usually what happens. It's like you got to stand for something. You got to be willing to go, I might lose some fans for this, but this is going to help me in the long run because what I stand for. It's like when Eminem did when he made fun of Trump on that BET freestyle, he even came out and said, I lost a lot of fans from doing that, but I needed to do that, which was like, okay, that's going to help him in the long run.
Coolly High. Bro, I love this Superman suit, bro. Is that Brainiac in the background? Don't worry about the haters. They hate us because they hate us. That's the best. So Rocha, you said, is that Brainiac in the background? Yes.
I mean, that's what a lot of people are speculating. It looks like it for sure. And so we haven't seen him as a villain in any of the feature films. So it could be an interesting choice to go that route. But who knows? James knows, you know.
The Ordinary Schmuck. Best line of the Brady roast. Ron Burgundy. You'll always remember it as Tom. Oh, you'll remember Tom as Eli Manning's bitch. Yeah, it was. It was not the best line. It was a good line. The best line was Nikki Glazer on Gronk.
Yes. Even me know that not real money. That is the best line. Period.
It was great. And then the Jeff Ross thing about the massage, where Brady himself gets up and goes, "Don't do that shit again." Like, all right. It was great.
That was staged. That Tom Brown, and I don't believe that. That looked way too authentic to be staged.
The roast was fantastic, and it's again showing the difference of like what Netflix does as opposed to Comedy Central. Comedy Central, that was a 3-hour video as opposed to where Comedy Central had to cut it down and edit out a lot of stuff. This didn't. It was great. It was a really good way to do it. It was a smart way to do it in general. Tom Brady, they really went off on Brady. So yeah, Rocha, you loved it, right?
Yeah, the Giselle jokes alone.
Oh my God, the one that Nikki Glazer, she had the best set of the night, by the way.
Yes,
and she said about, not to go, basically that he could kick your own. How does it feel knowing that your ex-wife's boyfriend can kick your ass while eating hers?
While eating her ass, yeah. Exactly.
It was so good. It was so good.
Kevin Hart, who said, like, she said she's had 8 classes a day and she's still a white belt.
A white belt.
The only bruises are on her ass, and I was like, "Holy God!"
Kim K bomb. I saw something on One Star that said Kim Kardashian bomb,
and it was. She didn't even give her a chance to not bomb. She walked up to the stage and booed her.
The audience booed her. Lost her.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I have this problem where I have secondhand embarrassment. So it's like sometimes with roasts that it's hard to watch. So like things like that just make me like, ugh. So I feel her embarrassment.
It was really good. Galagos, there he is. Superman is my favorite hero. I like the suit. It's tactical and not entirely alien. The mood of the pick and the tactile suit feels very promising to me. I agree. I think that you can absolutely. There's some hope to it, if you will. There's some hope. Nick Alexander, Tribe Called Quest, is my all-time favorite. Hell yeah, I like the Superman suit. He looks very serious, curious what's going on in the background. I mean, that's the thing. That is the whole mystery behind it. I mean, it's clearly a photo as opposed to him. He's just putting on it. It's like the whole premise of that photo is just another day at work.
Yeah.
As he's putting his boots on, he's getting ready, and there's stuff going on in the back. You know, you can make the jokes that, oh, there he is. Very kind of, there's a whole this stuff going on here. He's just casually putting his suit on, but that's the whole point of the picture. Yeah. And as far as Tribe goes, there's no one. There's no one better. Tribe's the guy.
I saw Tribe in De La at College Park in Maryland. That was to watch them live. That was effing awesome.
It was just so damn smooth.
Tribe is the shit, man.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be people like Kanye and stuff without Tribe.
No way. Galagos, there he is. Question for both: should the suit be indestructible or destructible? I hope for destructible because it looks dynamic, and the idea is that S will never be destroyed, as he is a symbol of hope. Is Soup? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think that it's more so about him and his body than anything else too. So if the suit can get wrecked by certain things, I don't mind that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, as long as the S survives, I think that's awesome. And so I like that point.
What do we think if it should be destructible or
Yeah,
indestructible?
if the suit is able to be, if it's indestructible or destructible.
I don't think it changes my opinion either way. If it's destructible or indestructible, but that like something that people care about.
Yeah,
like
that's
okay.
yeah. So, Mad Sinister McCall. Watched Bloodsport yesterday. If you dislike Big Thing, I'll kick you in the face. What is the weirdest movie you've ever seen? Mine is Eraserhead. The weirdest. I mean, that's a hard one. I have to really think. Weirdest. I mean, if I
know exactly.
Go ahead, because I can't remember.
I saw this movie called Mutant Vampire Zombies in the Hood.
You win.
And it was on Netflix. It wasn't like some and obviously it was shot like a baked potato.
Yeah.
But it was, when you watch, I was like, how did this make it on Netflix? And it was by far the weirdest movie I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, the first one I think of, and I'm sure there's weirder movies, but it was the what's that one? The Lobster, which everyone loves.
Oh yeah.
Lobster movie. Not a big fan of that movie. But what, Rocha, you got one?
Weirdest movie I ever saw? Gummo, I guess. Gummo, that weird ass little film.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Cam. Drake is Goldberg. Kendrick is Bret Hart. That's a good one. One is an opportunist who's trying to seize the moment, while the other is really about the craft. That's a good wrestling reference. I like that. So Carlton Rudder was one. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think Drake is more like Mr. Fantastic, and Kendrick is like Stone Cold, where it's like more like raw grit, and the other one's more like money, flash.
Look at that. That's Mr. Perfect. You mean Mr. Perfect?
Mr. Perfect. That's what I mean. Yeah. What did I say?
Mr. Fantastic. I was like, I thought you were going to Fantastic Four, and I was like, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting Mr. Perfect. That's what I mean.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Carlton Rudder. Now, Carlton, we missed your question from last week, so I apologize for that. London calling. Sorry, guys, no question tonight. Helping my mom and dad prepare for my aunt's funeral tomorrow. I'm sorry to hear that, but still wanted to send you both support. Well, thank you for doing that, especially what you're going through right now. And yeah, so you just do me a favor and just you can send an email to the Kristian Harloff channel at gmail.com with the one that you had, and I'll make sure that I read it on the air next week. And same thing to shoot, I think Mike Joyce was the other one that I missed last week, so send that over. Francisco Lopez, Superman's suit looks a little like the New 52 and look okay, but I have to see it in motion. I totally agree. K-Dot is winning this battle, and yes, this is good for hip-hop. It doesn't seem like anybody has Drake winning this thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's dark for Drake right now.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything. Maybe like if it was in the beginning and it was starting, like maybe there were like I did see more over the course as it was going on. There more people like when he those few like, oh, that was a good one here, and then now I don't see that at all. Yeah. Francisco Lopez, did you see the series finale for Bad Batch? I really like the way that they ended it. I love the night. Oh, I don't want to know about the happy ending. Yeah. Damn it. Well, I did not see the ending.
Spoilers in, people. Come on.
I know. I didn't see the ending, so I guess they don't all die. That sucks. And I did. Right now I'm at, like I said, I'm watching Shogun. I finished. I'm caught up with X-Men 97, and I'm about 4 episodes into Fallout. So I want to finish all those, and then I'll probably get to Bad Batch. But now that I know what happens, Francisco, come on, man. Daniel Breen, given there had been so much toxicity within the fandom, fucking birds, get out of here! There's a bird in here. Get lost, bird. Come on, bird, beat it. Birds hear sound. I don't know. Given there can be so much toxicity within the fandom, what is your guys' reasons for loving Star Wars? Have you a great? Hope you have a great weekend. So it's not, look, for me, I have the hope of what all the lore, and when you look at some of these great books and the other things that they have, and all the stories and the potential, and how much and things have kind of come out of it, that it's the potential that's out there of what they ultimately can do, and how much history and all the things that were taken, that George Lucas, the inspirations that he had, from the samurai to to the wars of the past, and all that, and making it less pop culture-y, if you will, or just like cotton candy, and giving it more meat. That's what I'm hoping for. So like when Star Wars is great, it's great, and it's just so that's why I love it.
I'll
Rocha,
be honest. A lot of oh, sorry.
No, good, please.
That's why I was raising my hand.
No, you're right.
Jump in.
A lot of the reason, I'm going to be honest, it's going to sound like I'm sucking up, but I'm honest. A lot of the reason why I became more of a Star Wars fan is because of this show. When the Force Unleashed was coming out, that the energy that you guys created, it made me, because I was a Star Wars, I've always been, but that made me start going and looking at comics, and it was something like the lead up to the first movie back to the sequels was like one of the, I don't know, it's like that moment. Yeah, everybody loved it. Like everybody was on the same side, and it was just so fun with the theories and before it got super toxic. Yeah. This show had a lot to do with why I watched Schmodown Star Wars special with Sam
Witwer, and
yeah,
Freddie.
I watched and stuff like and Freddie. That stuff, it's for the community.
Rocha?
Yeah. To me, it's always about what it represents, right? Is this idea of the possibility of what we can be, fighting the evil, right? And coming together to fight the darkness and fight for the light. And so for me, that's what I always love about Star Wars. It represents this possibility. And it's always people from like these lower areas and lower situations coming together to fight and hopefully be able to overcome this evil that wants to control and wants to force you to do certain things and wants to constantly watch over everything you're doing. So I always respect and love that about Star Wars.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Kristian J. Madrano. Been watching Screw at every turn of this beef, even with the CB and Quavo beef. There you go. Quavo, thank you.
Thank you. It means a lot.
I only give Kendrick the slight edge only because Drake baited Kendrick with fake information. And overall, Drake's handled everyone else. So go ahead, Rocha.
Slight edge. Listen, he played him. Therefore, he wins not by a slight edge, but by a big edge because he played him and Drake was fool enough to fall into the trap, for God's sake. Yeah.
All right. So look at this. Scru Face Jean. I give this a 4.5 out of 5 schmoes. Still there. That's a good one. What dropped the 0.5?
The no receipts. So there's a lot of accusations with not a lot of proof. And if I'm just like a rap battle just for entertainment, I could enjoy it. But my analytical brain basically goes, man, if there was one person that proved some of this stuff on one or the other side, I'll probably give it a full 5.
All right. Sam Champion. Always love the commentary, guys. Thank you. Personally, I think it's dope that you guys are talking about the beef. Shows how far it has reached. Plus, we get to hear your point of view as well. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that very much so. I will say that that I also give props as I asked for the beef to end. It ended, and we have our longtime fan back. So there we go. Also, K-Dot is killing Drake right now. Drake's Lost diss track is sounding more like a wave the white flag than a diss.
Yes.
If K-Dot releases another banger, it's over. I think Screwface said it before too. I think that right now Kendrick is just like he's got him by the head like this, and he's just like, "You gonna say anything else? Okay, you're not. But if you say anything else, I'm gonna drop the hammer on you." That's what it seems like right now. Yeah. Okay. So King Sport Cal, don't care about this Drake Kendrick stuff, but I'm glad that you guys covered it. You don't need permission to talk about it. It's your show. That's why I like it. Thanks, man.
Thanks, Calvin.
And that comes from Calvin, who can be super critical.
Yes.
I love Calvin. Calvin can be super critical, and he's out there, but he's always in there giving his points of view. So I got respect for you on that one too. Thanks, man. Matt B. Out of all the jokes made, it was one about the pervy owner that got Tom in his feelings. Yeah, I mean, that was the one that he was just like, "Don't do that again." But what's his face was laughing.
Yeah, Jeff. Yeah, but I mean, he's also like in his 80s. I don't.
Yeah, sure, probably didn't know the joke.
Yeah.
But, and then Nikki Glazer's jokes about Jeff Ross were also hilarious. He's like, what did she say? She said something along the lines, but that's all these different things, and that's what makes you even more disgusting looking. I can't remember whatever it was.
Congratulations on the weight loss. It must be nice to know that it wasn't the weight that was making women to be turned off by you,
or thinking you were so disgusting. Yeah.
You're so disgusting, right?
Joe Hendo TV. off topic, but I'm 27 and I'm going back to college to pursue a degree in journalism and hopefully become a movie critic.
Oh.
Your early reviews definitely influenced how I view movies. So do you have any advice? Well, first of all, that's awesome. No, my only advice is that just be true to your opinion on it, because everything we just said here today, right? It's very easy to get influenced of going, oh, if I say this, are these people going to come after me? Or if they're not going to think I say this, say how you feel about what you watch. Don't worry about if someone's going to tell you that you're, a hater or that you're a shill or this. Say what is honestly what is coming from when you see stuff. And it's like, put your channel or whatever you're going to do, your channel, your blog, whatever it is, and just put your love into it. And I mean, look, shit, man, look at Scru Face. Scru Face went from, when did you start your channel?
Like 7 years ago.
Yeah, and what do you like 1.2 million or some what how many
subscribers? Just in the last couple months my page really took off. So
I'm sure. And that's hard work and that's passion. When you watch his videos, it's passion. Same like John Rocha and we have known each other since college, and I remember sitting down with sushi with John going, what are you doing? Do this. You should be talking about movies. You should be talking about this stuff. And the same thing with Collider, start your own thing, because John, if you know John, you don't give it. He tells his opinion. He tells it as it is, and he never changes his opinion. So, I mean, John, would you agree, or any other thing that you would give advice on there?
Get thick skin if you're going to be a movie critic. It is the endangered animal right now. It is always being attacked by fans, by the studio, by influencers, by other critics. So, if you're going to do it, study it, be the best you can. I would say learn how to make a movie as well, because that'll give your criticism even more foundation and information, and that will help get across to the people. And then get thick skin, because you're going to get criticized no matter what you feel about it. So just make sure you work on that part of it as well.
Yep. Mad Sinister McCall, favorite stand-up special. Carlin at Carnegie, easily. That was what made me get into stand-up comedy.
Yeah. What was Chris Rock's one? The one that blew him up? That's
Bring the Pain, wasn't it? Well, I think it was Bring the Pain.
Yeah, that's the one. I mean, it used to be Eddie's Delirious, but just Bring the Pain, man.
Bring the Pain. Eddie Murphy would never get away with that special today, by the way.
No
world. Just the Mr. T stuff alone.
Oh my God.
South Park or Family Guy, tough. But I'd say South Park. But I could go either way. Do you have a favorite stand-up special, Screw?
Dave Chappelle, Killing Me Softly, or Jamie Foxx, I Might Need Security. And what was the second question? Star Wars or Family Guy? Not Star Wars, South Park or Family Guy? I would have to go with South Park, only because in their prime, in their peak, I think Family Guy was funny, but I think Family Guy's kind of lost a bit of steam, where South Park is kind of picking up another wave of like the wokening and that stuff. It's picking up another wave.
K-Dog Westmore, Kendrick and Drake both lost. Kendrick took a personal blow. Drake took a career blow. Daughter pedo stuff isn't really real, but the colonizer stuff will be a lasting scar. Same with wife beater allegations. I mean, look, I understand that point. I understand that in one aspect, the point of the recognition of this and people talking about it, and I'm sure, like you said, the views and everything else has gone up. But where they're going, I mean, they really went to like cutting, really, taking shots and literally saying, "You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. It's over." So it is. I understand that point. I think it's a good point.
Yeah, I saw some female critics call this beef out for how they're using women in their raps, and the women who are involved, like the fiance, the wives, the lady, the accusations, the daughters, like that kind of stuff, that they're using women as props in the battle. So I can understand that complaint, but I'm not going to weigh in on that, but I can understand why people might have an issue with it. So
all right, let's see. So Kevin Fraser, this is a great show. Thanks for all the thoughts. Thanks, Kevin. Also, Mr. Rocha, thanks for the heads up on the Brady roast. Had me cracking this morning. It was so fun.
You're welcome.
So good. Yeah. The man, Ed Haskell.
Yay.
The new story trailer for The Boys drops Friday night. It's fire. Talk about embracing the dark side, vengeful gods, and F Tom Brady. Hilarious. So I missed the reaction to that. The Boys. When I miss a reaction to something like that, I'm gonna watch The Boys. I'm not watching the trailer. I don't need to watch a trailer because I want it because I really want to see that. I heard it's a great. Did you do the reaction for that one, Rocha?
No, because it was at night, and by the time I was sitting in front of the computer, the Acolyte trailer dropped.
Oh,
so I was
right.
like, "Well, fuck, I might as well do the Acolyte."
Do that one. Have you seen? Are you a boys fan, Screwface?
Yeah, I watched the first season. I finished the first season. I'm about to start watching the second one. I'm so late with certain stuff. I still haven't even fully watched. I haven't watched Game of Thrones, so I somehow avoided this. Well, I haven't avoided the spoilers. I still know about red wedding and all that. But, So I have, but Gen V actually, I've been looking at that because my somebody I know, Derek Liu, actually plays Shining Vale. I think it's a character name.
Okay.
Yeah, so I actually know him personally, so I've been just kind of supporting him on that.
See, remember. So let me see in Gen V. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He's one of the main characters in that. He's really good in that show. Yeah.
I'm on tour with him. He used to be a rapper.
Oh, okay. Oh wow. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he's really good in that show. Okay, let's see. So here's the next one. This is Aaron Cole. Here's some cash to feed your money grab. Appreciate all the coverage and really enjoy the Big Thing crew. Thank you. Very nice. Al Renshaw. Who do you think John Carlos playing in the MCU? That's right. They said he got cast in the MCU. He said it isn't a role that has been rumored, fan casted. The obvious choices for me is Dr. Doom. Well, that has been rumored.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he says it's not. He says it has been rumored. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who do you guys, Rocha, who do you think?
There's a million, and I couldn't possibly. I don't know yet.
Yeah. You got any guesses, Screwface, on that one? Giancarlo Esposito, who's playing in the MCU?
I really have none. MCU is kind of like Star Wars with me, where right now it's feeling like it's gonna swing back up.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of tepid. So I've been staying away from trailers. I've been staying away from leaks of who's going to play what, because I feel like that played into some of my over expectations of things from the last season. So I kind of just want to, because I feel like with the first Infinity Saga, we didn't know as much. I feel like now we know so much going into it. And we have so much speculation that it kind of ruins the experience sometimes.
Yep. Johnny Patrizia. The backlash crowd was crazy. When do you think MJF will make the jump to WWE? How successful do you think he'll be? I think he'll be very successful. I think that they'll use his microphone skills in the way that they should. And I think he will be there as soon as his contract runs out. Rocha, do you think?
Yeah, I think it all depends. I think AEW is very much on the descent. So it's going to be sooner rather than later. But it all depend on what plan they have for him. So there's a lot of great people already at the top. So is there room for MJF right now with all the storylines and all the stuff going on with everybody else? So it all depends on the plan, because MJF's the kind of guy that wants to know what the plan is ahead of time before he commits one way or another. So, but I do think he will end up there eventually.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. The next one here is I love Aisha. She's the best. Hello, gentlemen. The show today is one of my favorites this year. Keep up the great work and congrats on your move, Kristian. Aisha, you have been one of the best supporters on this show, and I thank you for your kind words as always. I love Aisha. She's so nice.
Me too.
John Ashford. Good day, gentlemen. Regarding X-Men, do you think they're setting up Avengers versus X-Men with Magneto wrecking shop with the EMP? Maybe. Maybe. I don't want to speculate too much into it, but maybe. What do you think, John?
I think that's more credible in the animated universe than it is in the live action. I think so many people are saying, when are we going to get Avengers vs. X-Men? Slow down. Let them all get introduced first. Let them go on adventures, and then maybe down the road. But for the X-Men 97, I think it's very clearly being set up that for second season.
Yeah. I think that's what he means as far as X-Men, especially when you see the kind of spoiler at the end of the last one.
Yeah.
Bradley Pooper. What's up, Bradley Pooper? Will the Fall Guy bounce back? It's a great movie. I saw this debate going on with Coy and some other people too. I really like the Fall Guy. I thought it was a good start to the summer season. I thought they were going to have some at least a little bit of legs with it. And then Coy and somebody else were like, well, it'll bounce back in the same way that Bullet Train did. I think Bullet Train came out at the end of August, I think, or maybe even September.
Yeah. It
wasn't in the thick of in the start of the summer movie season. So the summer movie season, you got Apes, you got Furiosa, you've got all these other movies coming out in June. I think they'll be lucky if they break even.
No, it's toast. I just went to go look at an IMAX screening this afternoon. There's 2 people in the theater.
Yeah, it's toast.
So,
Yeah, it's toast. It's toast. It shouldn't be. It's a really good. It's a really
I know everyone likes it,
it's
and
a really
everybody offering opinions on why it failed. It's just opinions, guys. There's no actual factual credible evidence. Plenty of films every year that are good underperform or don't do well, and so it doesn't mean it's the end of theaters. It's the end of movies. Right. Calm down.
You know what it also proves, and I want people to stop now when they're like, had this movie had the opportunity to promote like they in the strike, and all those movies in the strike, they would have been able to promote. They would have done so much better. This movie, this one, had some of the best marketing I've ever seen in the movie.
100%.
It did nothing.
Yeah.
Marketing does not mean anything if people don't want to see the movie.
It's an old IP. I saw someone say, like, this is like making a feature film about the Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And I was like, yes, that's 100% a great connection.
Yeah, but that's a longer conversation. We got a lot of questions. Nathan Stowe. Hey, John, who's going to win the Premier League tonight? Premier League, Arsenal, or it's Arsenal or Man City? Hold on.
Arsenio.
Let's see.
Which one is it?
That's what I heard. What's that music? It's still going on?
It's still going on. No, it's going to be Man City. It's going to be because Arsenal will eventually crack like they did last year. What are you doing right now?
Where's the music coming from? Stop. That was great.
Welcome to the Smokes.
All right. Jorge Anistra, a minor line still has dead. What is that?
I don't know.
Kendrick said, while you trolling, you must be tired, trying to hit a chord, and it's probably a minor.
Yeah, right. He follows it up with Drake has a shell corporation called Silent Policy. Should Kendrick bring that up? Daniel Bugaslaw on X says it might be a hush-hush NDA type. I think that Scru Face nailed it, though. I think that you're not going to hear anything. You're not going to hear anything from Drake until there's, or Kendrick until there's another shot from Drake, and I think Drake's probably going to go quiet for a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so there he is. My former beef.
Who's this guy?
This is Christopher Correa. Here's some love. I might be a hater for supporting. Also, Rocha is the mad meme. Any meme mad is Rocha. Hilarious. But
I don't even know who this guy is.
No, he's I give him props because he was the one up top that was saying that we shouldn't cover it, but we agreed to disagree and move on, and then he put that's a very generous super chat. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Francisco Lopez, I'm sorry, I thought you saw a bad batch. You're all right, man. You're all right. Jim 1. Did you see Forbes reported the Marvels lost $237 million? Wow. Which doesn't surprise me, though. They spent way too much money on that movie, and they were in the mindset of like every Marvel movie does well. Wrong.
Yeah.
I was very confused on that.
That movie.
Who didn't see like that wasn't going to perform well like before? I'm not very knowledgeable about everything like you guys are with movies, but I feel like if I would have been in that meeting, I would have been like, hey, I don't know if that's going to do that well. I feel like
couldn't agree more. I didn't understand the reason for it. Justin Chang won a Pulitzer for film criticism. Justin Chang won a Pulitzer.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. There you go. And then Ayush Kumar, legacy of the beef is the next generation's VAP values. Thank you. And then I think there's two more.
Okay.
Haskell again. Riddick, Furia starts filming in August. What's that?
That's the new Riddick film with Vin Diesel, the fourth installment.
They're doing another one?
Yeah, they're calling it Furia. Not to be confused with Furiosa, you know.
I thought that's what he was. I thought that's what he's talking about, but he made a typo. I didn't even know.
That's what they want. They want to trick you into going to the theater to see it.
Mike Choice, what does Big Balls think of Drake and Kendrick?
Oh, no.
Oh, man, you want to hear my thoughts on Drake?
No.
Holy shit, man.
Don't do this, Big Balls.
Don't you tell me what to do, you angry ass. You just got called an angry meme. You got called an angry meme, and I'm going to tell you what, I'm the dream. You ain't even known what I seen. I've been running around with nuts and stuff. I've been running around dodging dicks and eating muff. I'm the best. You're better than the rest. Oh man, I'm a little one and I beat my chest. I'm so cool, you're gonna drool. Get
Oh
back,
my God.
back, little fool. I'm Big Balls and I nut on your face. And if you don't like it, I call you disgrace. Fuck a Kendrick. Fuck a Drake too. I'm gonna go up and I'll hit you with some goo.
Give him a beat. He killed both of them.
Someone put that there.
There is one more actually.
Oh
I
my
think Fall Guys
goodness.
suffered. A lot of people are cutting back to inflation. Yeah,
Oh,
movies are struggling. People are waiting for streaming. That's Jim One.
no.
I don't know.
No.
I think cutting back for streaming. I think he's right. I agree.
People fell all over themselves to go see Spider-Man No Way Home during
okay.
COVID. People licked each other's faces in theaters during
that
the
movie.
fucking film.
That's
There were
that
so many people in theaters. I'm just saying, if people want to go see a movie, they'll go. It's not about streaming or money or nothing. They'll go if they want to go see it.
No. But wait a minute. I don't disagree with that. But I also think it's relevant to say, like, look, okay, I know, like, look at if I'm paying, because back 4 years ago, you didn't have an option of 75 different streaming options, right? If you're paying for all those things and there's a brand new movie that drops on Netflix that you could watch with your family, and you go, this movie just dropped with everybody, make some popcorn in the or we can go see Fall Guy in the theater and spend this amount of money. Well, it looks good, but I don't know if I want to spend that. Let's just watch Netflix, because we have Netflix, we have Paramount Plus, we have all this stuff. But then Apes comes out next week. Let's see that. Back in the day, dude, people would go and see movies every week because there wasn't the tapes options that you had for streaming. Streaming has added a lot of different options.
Yeah, I don't
No, all right, I don't buy it. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I feel like, because John, you do this enough with the starred things. All the super chats are listed in the stars, right?
Yeah.
I didn't miss anybody, because the last time I missed somebody. So
Let me see here.
I want to make sure.
We last
I got
anybody?
everybody.
No, Fall Guys it. Jim One's the last one.
That's the last one. Okay. All right. Well, this was a long, supersized episode, and I thank both of my guests for being here today. John, I put your link for your channel in the description. Can you go ahead and tell everybody what you're doing over there?
Yeah. We got the Hot Mic, the Geek Buddies. The Geek Buddies going to be doing a special episode today talking about that Superman suit. Where's my super suit? We're going to talk about it. So come and join us. We're going to put that up a little bit later on. We'll do a Fall Guy review tomorrow as well. Got the Hot Mic, got the Jedi Way, got all stuff going on there. And I'll have, of course, my reactions and reviews on my channel as well. And maybe I'll get into the Drake Kendrick Lamar beef just to piss some of you off, man. You'll see. YouTube.com/John Rocha says, go and subscribe there, the Outlaw Nation. Let's have some fun. Thanks so much for having me on. And Screw, great to meet you, brother. Thank you. So much fun. See you.
You too. I've been watching you for a long time too, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Screwface, tell the peeps where they can find you. Tell us about your channel.
My channel is Scru Face Jean. Do music reactions. I also do music. I'm a rapper who reacts to rap. You can find me on Twitter. Everything's at Scru Face Jean. You can follow me on Spotify, Scru Face Jean. Expect to be seeing some. I think I'm actually doing that BBL Drizzy challenge that Metro Woman made later on today. It should be dropping. So, yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, dude, so much for joining us here today. It was a pleasure to finally talk to you, and let's do it again.
Oh, definitely. Thank you for having me, man. Like, honestly, I don't care how big I get. This is one of the my go-to channels. This has been, and I've been I had an interview with No Jumper Adam 22, which is a huge platform in hip hop. But honestly, I was a bit more nervous here than I was even there. So
that's super kind of you, man. You were great. So yeah, let's do it again. I appreciate it. Screw Face John, everybody. Okay, so we had a great show here today. Thank you to everybody. I know we got heated in the beginning, but that's my point with this channel, is that we all came together. We all came together. Hell, man. Even our buddy who was kind of critical at us at the top threw in something, a super chat at the end to be supportive, and said, "Here you go." Doesn't mean he changed his stance on what he thought. It means that we handled it like gentlemen, and we had a discussion. And we had a whole discussion here today about all these different topics. So thank you for joining us here today and being a part of it. Really appreciate it. Thank you to John Rocha. Thank you to Scru Face Jean for joining us here today. And thank you to you guys. As I said, if you want to support this show and you're able to, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for you guys to get one of those sponsors that's something that you want to like. There's something you want to get and something that you like. because I always try to get stuff that I feel that the audience is going to respond to. So yeah, show's free and we want to keep the people on it. So there you go. Thanks for joining us here today. Appreciate you. We'll see you on the flip side. Bye.